you don't have the courage to say you like something for real.
Right.
Like you're listening to Barry Manilow ironically. Fuck that. Just say like I like it.
Press the buy button. Don't ask why. Just buy. You know what I'm saying?
I like this guy.
He's making a lot of sense.
This is cooler than usual. Why?
Yeah.
First, somebody got me a shot of Crown Royal, and it was just, I ended up kicking a painting that night. I was like one of my drunkest moments ever. Like, what?
Wait a minute. Pump the brakes. Yeah, you ended up kicking a painting?
There we go, and we are live. Welcome to episode 60 of Long Walk Short Drink. I am here, Palmer, podcasting to you live if you're watching, not live if you're listening to this on the actual podcast episode from Dayton, Ohio.
This is Dave podcasting at you from Northfield, Minnesota.
Oh, it's my turn, Twinkie, from the American Rockies here along the Front Range in Denver, Colorado.
All right, welcome, Twinkie.
Yes.
This is it's like a reverse of episode 50 where we had Double D and Moto on and no Twinkie. Now we have Twinkie and no Double D or
That's
Moto.
right. Are we the same people?
Oh, because you'll never see. that's. I love to think that there's a Twinkie suit that holds Moto
Yeah.
and Double D, and like they're like in a half embrace,
That's right.
and like their one's left arm controls your left side of your body, and one's right arm controls the right side of your
Yeah.
body.
It would also be a camera work just miracle to make that all happen with miking and everything.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's just genius. Yeah.
With a little luck, we might be hearing from one or both of those two gentlemen and get our full cast as desired before the night is over.
The goal is everybody will be on here at some point in time. So, welcome to episode 60. Twinkie, when Twinkie got on, Dave, he was like, "Holy crap, 2 years!" Because we started right around like November, December-ish, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that today. This is the traditional like holy shit part of the show where we're like we congratulate ourselves on how long we've been going. But 2 years is an interesting milestone. I will hand it to myself and you and Twinkie. December 13th, 2016 was the first published date. And of course we started recording in July of 2016. But yeah, we've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic.
And
As I'm learning with creating things, anything with longevity is incredible.
Or regularity or regularity.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the other thing too.
Wow. It is amazing. Congratulations to you guys on a variety of levels with that.
And congratulations to you too, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're part of what keeps us going, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so we haven't seen you. I definitely want to get into what you've been doing creatively, Twinkie. But also just always curious about how each of you are doing, what you've been up to since we last spoke. Who wants to go first? Who's ready to share? Oh wait, do we want to crack a beverage? I do.
Let's open our beverage of choice.
Yeah.
I got one open, the old dihydrogen oxide.
Nice.
Oh.
I got that too. I got a similar glass. But I'm gonna
I like a good tumbler. Those are sexy tumblers.
That's right.
I feel like these are like Food Network or something.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know.
Whatever they are, they're super cheap, I'm sure.
Yes. Bride is actually quite particular about her glassware.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she these were a compromise for her. Yeah,
Whoa.
she wanted them thinner. Anyway, but I'm digging them.
Girls, man, who like? No, I like a thinner. I like a thinner glass. It holds. It's all it is future pee. That's all it's for.
Yeah, that's
for
funny.
pee.
Moto talks like that. That's
Yeah.
Moto talk. That would be a great segment. Moto talk.
Moto talk. Moto talk.
I actually found I don't know why, but thankfully I did anticipate getting some beer for myself yesterday because my commute here home today took forever. But I went to this one store that I sometimes go to anyway. I try to control my intakes, and but it's Christmas sale season, and I was looking for that Trogs one you mentioned, which I don't think I'm going to find here in Minnesota. So far, no luck in several places, but they had 1 6-pack of Christmas sale.
Oh,
so nice. I chilled 3 of them. I'll be drinking sometime.
Steiner when Steiner came down to visit, he brought a 12-pack of those down and left a handful of them, and it is a good batch this year. Very good.
I'm excited. So, you drinking anything exciting?
Boom Sauce.
Oh yeah. Maybe I'll be able to find that one. New England IPA.
Nice. Yeah, it's Lord Hobo Brewing Company.
Hobo?
Lord Hobo, not just hobo. Okay. Lord Hobo.
Oh, oboe.
Hobo. Like HOBO.
Okay. Yeah, like these 2 hobos.
Yeah. Except Lord, like like that.
Like the Lord of the hobos.
The Lord Hobo. Yeah. The Hobo Lord. So, but no, Boom Sauce. God, is it fantastic? Such a good beer. So this is what turned me around on IPAs.
Oh, you'll never forget that one then.
Yeah, no, it's so good. It's like so hipster, but it's so good. But
that's all right. They know a thing or two about a thing or two. They're just irritated.
Yeah.
Those goddamn kids and their goddamn beers.
Yeah, and their tasty beers. I make spectacular coffee, as I hear as well.
Back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Back when I was a kid, I was a hipster before they were hipsters.
Yeah, man. These kids think they're hipsters.
I drank PBR before anybody else did.
I would second that. I had noticed that to be your drink of choice years and years ago.
Because it's what we could afford.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're drinking it ironically.
Yeah. Because we're on the front lines of the great shammery, which is student loans. And so when all you can afford is PBRs, you drink PBRs, yeah.
And to me, that was the one that tastes the least like it was one of the only full flavored beers that wasn't a malt liquor and didn't taste like garbage. Like it wasn't like Milwaukee's Best Ice or Natty Light. I drank so much Natty Light at the Grant.
That was the Grant. Yeah.
But it no, when I would party in Kent, the Kent days when like Roe and Sammy and all of them had that apartment up at the top, and then the girls had the apartment at the bottom floor. Do you remember that, Dave?
Yeah, I sure do. Yeah, I was drinking like that. It's like a wine cooler in a bottle, though.
Arbor Mist.
Arbor Mist.
I would drink 2 Magnum bottles of Arbor Mist and a 12-pack of PBR. That was my Friday, like. And I would just like, and you knew it was getting late when I would pull out the bottle of Arbor Mist and just be like, blah, 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 blah.
And then the second one was just, it was over.
It was over. So
let's crack these. And then I want to tell you just quickly before you do fill me in on what's going on. I put my finger on why I hate this ironically a bit. So
all right.
I'm sure everyone can be on the edge of their seats.
All right. And on 3. Nice.
Cheers.
That sounds very refreshing, Twinkie.
Yeah, right.
It's the most refreshing, actually.
The only one that's actually refreshing.
Yeah, truly. So the ironic thing bothers me because I just feel like it's cowardice. Like you don't have the courage to say you like something for real. Like
Right.
you're listening to Barry Manilow, ironically. Fuck that. Just like listen to Barry. If you like Barry Manilow, I don't know why this is my example.
Get him, man.
Just say like I like it. Like that's what bothers me about it. It's just like it's just so cowardly. The whole thing, ironically. Just have some like, just have a backbone and just say like I like this. I think it's good. That's all. Am I off base in terms of like how I'm viewing the way that people do things ironically?
No,
Am I misunderstanding? It
I
so obvious.
thought if they like something ironically, it's because it's like they would like to make fun of it.
Yeah, that's
they
the thing.
enjoy making fun of it.
It's not a real sense of enjoyment of the actual thing. It's I'm liking this because it's so bad.
I don't buy it. I think they like it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
usually do. If I'm
maybe that's their claim as well. Maybe they really do enjoy it, but when confronted about it, you know, or when asked about it, hey, I've noticed you've picked up Barry Manilow recently.
Ironically,
right? Yeah. Yeah, this was a couple of years ago. We had a couple over here, the bride and I, a little bit older than us. And at the time, for some reason, I was favoring putting on Lionel Richie album. Can't Slow Down, I think was the one. He's like sitting on the front end like a chair with white sneakers. Which when I got it on vinyl, you open it up and he's going down a fire pole. The purple background.
Fire pole.
I'll find it at P Break. It's the most ludicrous. Like if I don't know if I'd like it, if I'd be able to like it all, if I had seen that picture growing up. But anyway, it's got like Penny Lover and Can't Slow Down and All Night Long and Hello, all that great stuff.
That one?
Yeah, fuck yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Everyone you meet. So we're listening to it. I think I had listened to it also when my buddy Yost came from New York to record the drums for our Furious Light album. I think I first got it out there and I was just on a kick. I was listening to it and then this couple said something about it or something like, yeah, ironically. And I was just like, no, I agree. I get maybe this is kind of funny, but I like this.
And I get that it may be funny that I like it, but I like it.
Yeah, that's part of the fun.
Try that one. Is that it?
Oh boy. Let's see.
Just trying to look too. You guys?
That's it.
Look at that face.
If I could share my screen here so Twinkie can see.
I'm pulling it up. Oh yeah, I got it.
Well, I fucked it up anyway. we'll let viewers Google it.
That's amazing.
Anyway, I don't know what got me all riled up about that, ironically, but that's just I'll try to simmer down. And so I did once upon a time ask how these guys were. So, who wants to tell me? Is it you, Twinkie? Is it you, Palmer? Who wants to go?
Well, I want to pick Twinkie's brain about I want to hear about him. I want to hear him plug his Twitch stream. So
yeah, I've been wondering about that too.
Yeah.
Well, I'll start off with just kind of the overview. You know, I've one of the kind of fun things I've been doing is, well, let me preface. I am entirely with you guys on the owning of physical media. I still buy if I am going to buy an album of something, which is rare, honestly, nowadays, because we use Amazon Music as kind of our streaming thing. But I still buy albums, vinyl if I can, and then a lot of those come with digital copies anyway. But
yeah, Amazon's got that sweet auto rip thing,
right? Absolutely. So I try to get physical copies whenever I can. However, one of my guilty pleasures is I have a wish list on my iTunes account of movies. And my rule is whenever they go to $4.99, I buy them.
Nice.
Bought. Press the buy button. Don't ask why. Just buy. You know what I'm saying?
I like so I like this guy.
Yeah.
I like this guy.
So when it goes to $4.99, when it goes to $4.99. So recently, I got a digital copy of Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Love the Atomic Bomb, which is just,
classic.
I mean, I can't even, I can go on and on about that movie. I like quoting about bodily fluids at work and watching none of my coworkers get it. That's always a good time. But also, Escape from New York just went $4.99. Boom.
Don't ask why.
Don't ask why. Just buy. Judge Dredd. Boom. The new Judge Dredd.
Oh yeah.
$4.99. Just buy. So that's been a thing that I've been enjoying. And so when I get them, it's always fun. I get a chance on the train to work or whatever to watch it on an iPad, or occasionally I get to sit down at home and watch a movie every now and then. But I just have really enjoyed kind of going through movies and sometimes there are movies that Holly and I will both watch and enjoy together. So that's been a thing recently that I've kind of committed to, knowing that if given the opportunity, I certainly will buy those in some sort of physical media when possible. But it's hard to pass up $5 to have it just instantaneously available. And especially Apple does a really good job with the extras, man. They just...
How do they handle that? I haven't actually experienced that.
Yeah. So
what's the interface like, compared to something like a Blu-ray or a DVD?
Yeah. So you start playing the movie on your Apple TV or your iPad or your PC or whatever you're watching. And then once you hit play, there's a sub menu that's just extras, and you hit extras, and it has a rundown list. Usually it has, it's on the right side of the screen, a rundown, and the left side's a preview as you go over each item, kind of what the extra is, whether it's a commentary or extra scenes or whatever. And they just do a really great job of making extra content available. Sometimes there's nothing. I mean, and it's usually, they're very clear about what you're getting when you press the buy button.
Your Dr. Strangelove, is it come from the studio, or is it like a Criterion thing? Because I know Criterion has a edition.
Yeah, so I have a Criterion version of that as well.
Yeah,
but it was $4.99 digitally.
You don't ask why, Dave.
Yeah,
just press buy.
Oh, but so it is. So it's a Criterion digital presentation. So does that then? What am I asking? Does the interface match every time? Like, is it like, I'm imagining something like Netflix or Hulu, any of those streaming services, you go on it, the interface is the same for everything. The font, the sizing of the disc, but Blu-rays, DVDs, all that stuff, you get them in the menus are different. They're customized per disc, and maybe there's a style per studio or what's the word, like a label. So is there that kind of differentiation to the experience in the digital realm, like with your Criterion one? Is it different than something from, say, the Escape from New York?
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, so I'm not sure, like the digital version that I bought from Apple, what I got from them. I don't know where they pulled their digital copy from. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
What the studio decides to make available to them. But that version, if I would go to look at, now that doesn't have any extras with it.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a bad one-to-one example. But, when I pull that up, if I were to pull up the extras on that versus a DVD or a Blu-ray, Apple is very basic. It's just a text on the bottom, extras, closed captioning, settings.
And I would imagine all of them are all the fonts are like Apple fonts.
Yeah.
Because they want it to all look the same.
Right. Okay. And then it's always a list down the right side of what's available. And it's, at least in my experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all easy to get to and very intuitive to use. But
I like this.
I think Criterion, like, they get to tweak they enhance the version of the film. Like, they try to go to get, like, that's the whole point, is like they're trying to get as close to the filmmaker's representation of that film on a piece of media as possible.
It's I'm sure if you're a discerning someone, I'm not probably the person that, if you would play them side by side, unless one was like a 4K restoration or something,
right.
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I mean, I guess maybe some color remastering I might notice,
Yeah.
if they were playing side by side. But I guess I just don't dig that deep enough to know if I'm watching individually, one after the other, I probably wouldn't even be able to tell some of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, what I was most interested in was that kind of experience of how you encounter the extras. I'm
Right.
not sure I could tell the difference in the quality too. But I think, yeah, from what you described, it does sound like it's kind of an Apple thing. Like it's a unified, so you know where to find stuff. It looks the same, got Apple fonts and stuff.
Yeah.
I like that
Yeah.
idea.
Sometimes you're riding on the train to work and you need the soliloquy about your bodily fluids being pure. And you can't do that.
Oh, are you drinking water?
If you only have, this is purified water.
Oh,
This is purified. I only drink purified.
me too.
Yeah, but you need to. It's not. It's water from my faucet. But it's
I got well water here. So
yeah. But it's one of those things where just having something like that available kind of spoils me to some degree. But it's just great, you know. Sometimes there's content you enjoy watching, or it's easier to watch extras and stuff to be able to pull stuff up and watch a 20-minute thing, you know, that's readily available. Try to maximize my time spent on public transit.
You don't realize how spoiled you are until you can't find it, until it's not readily at your fingertips.
Yeah.
And then you call every place that sells used media
Right.
in a like Tri-County area looking for a copy of this thing because you're like, I should own this and be able to see it.
Yeah, like one of the movies we had talked about, I bet it's been 6 or 7 months now, about Rush with Jason Patrick. And
oh yeah,
that's been in my Amazon wish list at like $22 since we talked.
Never gone down to cheaper.
And it's never dropped. You know, at some point I'll just be like, all right. But you know, it's amazing sometimes, whether it's the studio making those decisions or what, you know, whatever is happening, it's just not quite as readily available.
And I feel like on some of that more obscure stuff or more,
there's no other big market. You don't hear people talk about Rush with Jason Patrick.
Well, but there's also a disparity between like what got left behind on DVD and didn't come up to Blu-ray, and now it's getting to the point that Blu-ray is the standard and 4K is the new media, and so DVDs are harder and harder to find now. So that's why Explorers, I had to like. They never got to go from DVD to Blu-ray. There's no Blu-ray version of Explorers. So that's why I had to find this yeah.
There will be now. You guys just did a podcast about it.
I know that's what's going to like whoever has their finger on Long Short Drink out in Hollywood's going to be like, we got to get that Blu-ray and Explorers out ASAP.
Did you hear what we made Palmer do?
Yeah.
Just to talk about our movie. This is unacceptable.
We gotta do that. We gotta do the big release now.
Twinkie, you know that story I have about Time Traveler and the group and YouTube bootlegs?
Yeah.
Palmer probably knows that by heart. I like to think we have that kind of impact.
Yeah, that's right.
People are ordering stuff and there's this whole drama going on about that one. I had this idea that they had, because Ballman and I were buying U2 and Pearl Jam bootlegs, whatever they would get. And like full concerts that were so expensive.
Yeah.
And we would so I like to imagine that there was like a guy in the back with a little closed circuit camera operation that would zoom in to see what we were buying, what we almost bought, to know what to order. And then the few times where we might not get anything, I imagine that there's a big crash in the back. That's what we would hear, but really it'd be the person being like, fuck. You know, buy that now.
It's gonna be like that story that I read. Somebody like they sold a book that had been sitting on their store shelf for decades. It kind of just got a little bit of like a social media ball rolling, but it was a report about this bookstore in the UK somewhere that sold a book that was 23 years on their bookshelf or something. And that's what I'm imagining, that there's still a Pearl Jam bootleg at this record store that they bought for Dave that he didn't buy.
Maybe I got it somewhere else.
Yeah.
On a whim, on some random like holiday, you're going to be in the area and be like, I used to go here all the time to this store to buy bootlegs. And then you'll come in and that guy will be like, oh, baby, is it going to be this time?
Oh my
Maybe
God.
this time is it.
It's funny. I do romanticize certain bootlegs. I remember I bought the 9 Inch Nails Woodstock bootleg. Or no, do you remember? I want to say his name was John Gooding. John Gooding from RHS RMS. He was one of very few people at our school who was in a wheelchair. So just that you can't picture him.
I do know.
Yeah.
So he was like the only other person I knew that really was super into 9 Inch Nails, and I was just getting into them, and he got the Woodstock, had a Woodstock bootleg, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. And of course, I needed to get my own, and so I was 1994. I mean, I was like 13 or so, or maybe just 14. So I was first time like going to try to get something like that ever, and went to some store in Cleveland with your Moto. Just like for podcast listeners, he's not just saying that about me. I don't
think. We were doing so good too of like letting him work through his stuff and like come on to give him a proper intro and
better. What the fuck? Hopefully we're gonna find out that he was commenting on what I was saying. It could be. I guess to try to bring that ship in about the bootlegs. So I went out to some sort of store for the first time ever getting any kind of bootleg, and probably my first like 10 CDs or something like that. I did get a 9 Inch Nails bootleg, but the thing with bootlegs, especially at that time when they were so prevalent, is that they would have maybe the same content, but different covers and all this. And it wasn't the cover that I wanted because it wasn't the one I'd seen. And so that was starting to eat away at me.
Yeah.
And actually because Woodstock was widely broadcast, 94, it was a slightly different audio source or something. Like I could hear something better. I don't know. I get obsessive about things. So basically at some point I convinced John Gooding to trade me because I wanted his, because somehow I had attached some better importance to that. And a few years down the line, I then was like, oh, I knew the story, of course, of how I had the one I had, but the one I gave to him actually had photographs from the performance, this famous performance where 9 Inch Nails was covered in mud and really made their name as like as a band outside of in the mainstream. And so then I began a quest to somehow procure that particular bootleg.
Of course you did.
So all of this is not outside of the realm of possibility that if one of those stores still existed, I would be trying to chase some dragon of.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing wrong with that.
Time Travelers. Let's see if Time Travelers is even still open.
I think they might be. They almost closed about 1 billion times, but I've got my fingers crossed. And I think we have with us in all his technical glory, Mr. Moto.
Moto. Yes, yeah. What's up, guys?
Hello.
How's it going, buddy?
Glad to be here. Finally, I got headphones and things, so good to go.
Yeah, you look fantastic.
You do look good. You're still dropping the weight, man.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm down 25 pounds now. So
awesome.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I could cut back some bread, but I guess, I was on a liquid bread diet all the time.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't even started working out yet. So I'm going to do that for the winter. And I think I'm going to go with the JCVD. I'm in pretty bad shape. So
it's a great place to start.
Hope I can do a split here pretty soon.
Awesome.
Yeah, you just need like chairs and broom.
Are you gonna walk around funny with your underwear, like with your butt cheeks, like
in the moonlight?
Yeah, in your pants.
Oh my God. So funny you say that, because just today, when on the text thread, when Double D sent that Trump tweet,
yeah,
I was trying to find a JCVD. I was trying to find the thing where JCVD in Bloodsport was like,
yeah.
And then I couldn't find that, and I was like, well, maybe I could find the moment in Anchorman 2 where that that happens like in Ron Burgundy's eyes, like that clip from Bloodsport bursts out of his eyes. Couldn't find that either. I did find this GIF of JC, like it was like straight video someone had made a GIF out of, and he's doing. I'll just stay low, but so he's doing stuff like from that video, but for real, outside of the video, not with the camera. It's just like a cell phone. He's got these weights, and he's just like dancing, like in the GIF, like with weights, with his shirt off.
Nice.
From like last year or something.
I think
Anyway.
the most disturbing butt cheek Von Damme split thing was by far Time Cop. That just
yeah.
butt cheek split thing. There was like yeah. Well,
Between the
Time
kitchen
Cop went a little
counters.
far. Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
I think he hurt himself on that one.
I was gonna say you'll hurt your boner doing that
Yeah.
sort of thing. It's like
You got to be careful with
it
that
was a
thing.
sex scene too. He was like doing a split, like having sex and being JC.
I don't even know where to go with that.
No,
Where do you go?
Well,
Twinkie, you got Lionel as your avatar right
That's
now.
right. Do a little screen sharing there.
That's
Lionel?
amazing. Lionel Richie. I was telling.
Oh,
Lionel.
I can't see it that well. They were talking Lion-O from Thundercats. Like, whoa.
Oh,
Oh,
right.
I love that show.
Oh, fuck yeah. Have you guys watched it like after 1986? Have you seen it since at all? I
No,
mean?
but I'm interested where this is going.
I, of course, when Rental Time went out of business in Rittman, the going out of business, like I tried to get a few things, and what I remember getting from there was a Voltron tape and a Thundercats tape. It just had like a few episodes of each on there.
That's the other one I was thinking, Voltron, yeah.
Yeah, those are the two big ones in our house in the mid 80s. And it's, it doesn't hold up great. Like it is as you remember, but like not as necessarily timeless or awesome. But I mean, it's worth. I looked it up recently because
On the
I
internet.
had this sliver of a memory of a TV movie that was like on in the evening.
Yeah,
Not just
of
the
Thundercats.
afternoon. Yeah, and I had this memory of it as being different or somehow cooler. So it wasn't too hard to find, and I did kind of jog my memory in the first few moments that I saw it, but I didn't necessarily now as an adult I couldn't put together what was different or cool about it. It was probably just as a kid watching Thundercats at night,
Right.
with it
Yeah.
being called a movie that made it feel
Yeah.
cool.
This is cooler than usual. Why?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I just say weird things. That's why I'm
No,
here.
that
I like
works.
that. And I've we've been trying to get Twinkie. I keep hopping in, telling people about my media collection. So Twinkie was telling us, what were you telling us, Twinks? Twinks.
Well,
I gotta go.
Don't fucking call me Twink.
You get one nickname. Pick one.
Anyone ever call you Twinks?
Yeah. So we're just talking about the old $4.99 rule for iTunes.
Yeah,
what's that?
So that was kind
What
of the
is that?
main. That was kind of the main thing that
Tell
we.
them your motto.
with
Tell
there.
Moto your motto.
Yeah. I already forgot it.
don't ask
Just
why.
buy, just buy.
Just
Yeah,
buy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
$4.99.
that's right.
Oh,
He's got a-
$4.99. That's
Yeah,
what-
he's got
okay.
a wish list of movies on iTunes, and so if any movie on the wish list falls $4.99 or lower,
Oh,
he doesn't think
agree.
about it, just buys it.
Yep,
I agree.
absolutely. Even though I definitely want to support physical media,
Mhm.
man. So you had to have something like that available at your fingertips is really
Yeah.
great. So, but yeah, so
And
that's kind of been fun recently.
It's almost like Dave's, physical medium collection. I guess you go into it once a year or something, but it's there just to have. I mean, you can get most of that stuff digitally, and you want it digitally, so it's there if the medium gets broken.
Yeah,
And it's not going to degrade, and it's not going to. There are benefits to digital, but that ends when it's some other corporation controls
yeah.
your access to it. Whereas if
Absolutely.
you own it,
Mhm.
you get it anytime you want it. So
Yeah.
Apple used to kind of be like that. There was when there was an iPod that came out, there was a U2 iPod like in 2004, and the bride actually got it, and she got it without the stuff. You could get it though with extra money, and it would come with their entire catalog up to that point.
Wow.
And I remember then I didn't have an iPod or anything like that, but I used iTunes to get songs I didn't have from that collection then that they had released on iTunes. But fast forward maybe like 5 years, I couldn't open any of those files because of I don't know what. Like it was it sucked.
A new update.
Something like that. Yeah, that just none of it worked anymore. Even if I used the credentials from that old account, it didn't. Maybe I messed that part up, but even so, like I should have been able to open them. But anyway, they changed their digital rights management years since to where, like, I couldn't share with you an audiobook I bought from iTunes, but I think the music, like, I could open on a different computer. Anyway, it all gets so sticky.
Yeah. Whereas if it's just a physical CD or a physical DVD, you could just be like, "Here, watch this," and hand it to somebody. Yeah. Don't fucking loan it to me, though. You'll never see it again.
Now.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I'll never watch it.
That makes me want Double D on right now.
Yeah.
Sinbad lives with me now.
Yeah.
Well, I know Moto uses iTunes. Like Moto produced that album for me that came up briefly earlier, The Furious Light, and we released it on iTunes, and he bought it. Like,
I wanted to see what the
purchased it on
process
iTunes,
and-
though.
That is funny.
You had like flawless master track sitting behind you, and you're like, "Let's see how this works."
Yeah, I wanted to see the process of what it took.
Oh, okay. That makes sense to me. Then.
Yeah.
I have done that. That's true.
Yeah. So Twinkie, we know the $4.99. Don't ask why. Just buy.
Mm-hmm.
Good rules to live by there.
We got rules around here. Yeah.
Now I know about iTunes extras, which is very appealing to me.
Yeah.
What else you got going on? Let's
Yeah, so the Twitch thing has been obviously taking up a lot of time. I have picked up another project at work, so that's been some additional time. That's all kind of boring, blah blah blah. But the Twitch thing has been the primary driver of consuming time for me.
Awesome.
You know, not just on Tuesdays when I do it, but just
Tuesdays when, where?
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, I got to get good at this.
Yeah,
right?
you got to plug.
I got to start doing this. Yeah, so Tuesdays on Twitch, you can find me. It's twitch.tv/Rocky Mountain AM. Easy to find me on there. I mean, I'm very popular. Lots of viewers. So not really a big deal at all. But no, it's just the process. I've mentioned before on this podcast that I don't necessarily view myself as a creator of content, just because it wasn't anything I really felt like I had anything to offer I'm not derogatorily towards myself, just nothing I was interested. I felt like, well, I could share that. And this is something that I enjoy, that there's now a very easy way to share, and had a really fun time trying to do all the behind the scenes stuff. And then of course there's pieces of equipment to buy, which is always exciting. Mm-hmm. Just the chance to go and do something and just feel an intrinsic reward for it outside of the external reward, which may or may not ever exist, which is totally fine. It's experiencing the great opportunity to create, all the challenges and the frustrations and the fears and the self-doubts and all of those things on a much smaller scale than someone who I can't imagine if you became famous somehow as a musician or an artist, and then you have to keep producing that level of pressure.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Freaking cats.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Freaking cats.
Look at how big that cat is.
That's huge cat. Yeah. So I mean, every week has been a real challenge to get that done for me. You know. I even talked to Holly last night. I was so tired when I was getting ready to get on, but just in our life stage with kids and jobs and whatever. And like I might have to go to every other Tuesday. Like I'm kind of dying.
Well, you guys kind of had to figure that out too. I mean, Long Walk Short Drink kind of had to find their rhythm, and
honestly, we didn't get to the every other week thing until this year, right? Like we teased it a little bit last year, but this year we finally really embraced it, and yeah, that's it.
Makes you look forward to it. It's not too much for pressure. It's something to look forward to, and you kind of have to save up your bottle to unleash it on that day.
The mighty juice. You gotta unleash the mighty juice every other week. Well, I mean, and that just comes back to you got at the end of the day, you have to be having fun. Like, I think that's like the key to being any kind of entertainer is like you have to be having fun with it.
Yep, absolutely.
And it will be glaringly obvious to everybody, in your audience the minute you're not enjoying it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that's what draws people there to begin with, I think.
Exactly.
You're drawn to the people are all interested as interesting, as I learned.
That's exactly it. I didn't even have to ask you to say it. That's what I was hoping you were going to say, because that's exactly it. And so, and as long as you're making choices with that in mind, like, am I going to be able to enjoy this more or at least the same level with this choice? Yeah. Okay, then I'm going to go with it. And it helps make choices a lot easier. So if the every other Tuesday thing, if that's what works, like that's what works,
Yeah, and it's great to just go through the process. Really, it is on such a small scale, and you get because this is not something I've ever done where I'm like, I'm gonna try to do something and just see it through as far as much as I can. Really pursue it. Like,
yeah,
it's something I enjoy doing. Both the production of the actual streaming and just playing video games in general. So why not kind of combine those things? It's really eye-opening, though. For example, one of the things that occasionally I'll think about because of our jackass of a president is like, what would I ever do if I don't have this job? I don't even, who the fuck knows what the next 2 years is like.
Right.
And I was like, I'd probably do something with video games or programming, like computer programming or whatever. And when you put yourself on a schedule and you say you're going to do something, you really find out if you like it or not, man.
Oh, yeah.
There's no like, I'll just take a break, like if you're passionate about it, you'll find out. Like, it becomes very apparent if it's what you want to do or not, which is very interesting. That something that I thought I could like, I maybe don't like as much, because when you have commitments to it and time and energy outside of it to put together, to do research and to, do it the way I want to do it, it's a lot of work. And so you find out real quick what you want to do or what you don't want to do.
Nice. Put very well, like most things you say. Palmer's got his wood shop. It all takes work and effort, but all that work and effort makes it worth it in the end.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna learn things too, and take on to whatever the next thing is. Hopefully, you take some of the lessons learned.
This is exactly what I'm going through right now. I'm doing another album and working with new people, and I wanted to go through the process of making albums. And anyways, there's just the process and learning and overcoming challenges. And of course, we want to do it. I want to do it. And but there's days where you get tired or worn out, and you're like, just need a break. And then you want to get back to that place that you were having fun and doing that work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can totally relate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I study all kinds of creative people's careers. That's something that I've long been fascinated by. And that's why I'll get in these jags of watching a whole director or listen to a whole band or whatever for like months and even a year at a time or whatever. But so I've heard a lot of different stories, and I'm very interested in this very thing we're talking about, how it manifests in different people, because you want to, as a creative person, I want to do my thing, but feel satisfied. And then there's that thing about, it's all these things, art is like a communicative thing, and it's tough if there's no other side to it sometimes. Anyway, but the thing I wanted to say is that I've heard over and over again in different ways, essentially, that regardless of the scale, whether you are on top of the world, of whatever field, or you're just in your first time or not even stepping out of the garage, just like in the garage with yourself or your buddies. The process is always the same, and you can't really control the outcome. And it seems to me the more successful people become, the more they long for the days that they weren't because of the purity of the process that we all experience, and it's easy to take for granted. So it's interesting to hear someone like you talk about it who's literally never tried something like this before.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's cool to hear that you are enjoying it, that you're all of those things, all that information is like, oh, maybe I don't like this part that much.
Yeah.
That's okay. Like, it's great to know what you do and don't like in all areas of life.
Yeah, I do want to challenge myself on it too. Okay, I don't like this part of it. Well, then just don't do that part of it. But pick another thing and try to put it in there, or add this piece if you're going to take away this, or just experiment. Don't feel like this is the way it has to be done. So, and I really have to push myself because that's not my personality, to like explore and expand and try to figure things out.
And I feel like too, don't let the like technical stuff overwhelm you. I mean, I'm sure some of the technical stuff might be overwhelming now, but eventually it's going to get to the point where that piece will just be like second nature. I mean, like Moto troubleshooting, like he's done sounds, all that like technical sound setup, like he can like do all that on the fly now, and I can get this live thing all set up. So we were late starting, and it was my fault, even though Dave said he was grateful.
I would have been late also.
Yeah.
I was still later than else.
But Ash and I got home from work and we ate an early dinner, and like I totally passed out in my chair, and I wake up.
That's kind of great.
I wake up to her saying like, "What time are you guys recording tonight, babe?" And I look up and I'm like, is that 7:55? Crap, we're recording at 8. Like it was like the beginning of Back to the Future. Like, you mean it's actually 8:40 or 7:45? I'm late for school. Yeah, so I sent that text message real quick, but like that took 5 minutes. A process that used to be like, okay, now I need to click this, and now I need to do this, and
you used to want 30 minutes to be safe.
Yeah. Yep. And now I can get it up and going, and you'll find all that like that part will come with just time and experience. So
yeah,
no matter how overwhelming it is now, just let that piece fall off your back like water off a duck's back.
The one thing that I'm really enjoying, that I knew that I would enjoy, is doing the research beforehand and digging into the creative process of the designers and the artists and whoever who puts their work into the games. And given the opportunity, I would love to have those people on and just talk to them about their processes and how they go about creating, a forest of trees, or why they made the design choices they made, or, that sort of thing is way more fascinating to me than even playing the game, which I do enjoy.
Right.
But the process about how it's made, and that comes from everything. Like I'm the one that wants to know like why a director made the decision about the scenes, or why you hear how a song was written. It was 2 a.m. and I was in the tour bus and I fell out of bed, and then I was like, yeah, this is going to be the song, and or whatever, that's the stuff that I like to hear. And so doing that kind of research is great. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I would like to do like a 5-question thing. Just treat you like the interviewee here. Because there are certain things about this I don't understand really well, that I'd like to, but also I'd love for this to be like a place that I can find this information, or others could like digest it all. So we've been going kind of really out of order. If someone doesn't know this first question, like maybe I don't, but it'll be like a Quentin Tarantino movie. So
yeah.
What is Twitch and what drew you to it?
Yeah. So Twitch started in the early 2000s as Justin TV. It was a dude who decided he wanted to be able to stream content over the internet. And I don't think it was even necessarily video games, although that was part of it. And that morphed and was sold, I believe, or was bought up and became twitch.tv and became a place where, like most internet startups, you were able to get on and start streaming, and then ads would pay revenue to both the person who was streaming and the people that own the website, own Twitch TV. And that's kind of still the model, although it's now owned by Amazon. Amazon purchased Twitch TV a year or so ago. So
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, for example, if you're a Amazon Prime member, you get certain benefits to Twitch, and you can subscribe to certain channels and whatever. So it's based on subscription. So, for example, let's say that I become an affiliate to Twitch, and you have to meet in certain requirements. You have to stream so many days and have so many followers, and there's certain metrics they use. Then people can subscribe to your channel, almost like Patreon or Kickstarter. Not really Kickstarter, more like Patreon, ongoing. And it's there's a range of ways to subscribe at a monthly rate, and you subscribe and support this person and their creation of content. It's really popular with esports, games that are really popular in Asia, and even in the US to some degree. They're very like fast. They're called MOBAs, which are like online real-time strategy games or first-person shooters.
PUBG.
PUBG or Overwatch, or these are games that are just quick matches. You would tune in and people play for 5 or 7 minutes, and then the game is over and it resets, and you're watching people perform these technical feats or whatever. And so the really popular people will be streaming for, 50,000 people. 50,000 people will be watching them play. The big game right now that people stream is called Fortnite. And they'll have 50,000 people watching them play this game called Fortnite. So
Jeez.
yeah, so it's a very kind of organic way to kind of, I think, connect with a community that you would like. If you play a certain type of game, I would never play Fortnite because, well, first of all, I'd be really bad at it because I'm an old person, and you have to be young to have all those like Twitch skills, like the quick skills. But I'm going to play a certain type of game, and so a person would say, "Oh, I like to watch strategy games or RPG role-playing games, so I'm gonna watch this channel." And if they would like my content and they say, "Oh, this would be cool if Ryan would just do this full time," so I would support him and help him be able to dedicate more time to create more content. And then, as you get bigger and become, now people notice that, that a lot of people do like what Ryan says, or they'll listen to Ryan, or he does whatever. Now, a publisher might come and say, "Hey, we'd like to sponsor you playing our game on your channel," or whatever. So there, it's like anything else, right? Most of it is people like me who have a handful of viewers who watch as we get on and play a couple hours. But there are people who for a less available analogy, like the NFL, right? There's lots of people in high school football, and there's less people in college, and there's even less who ever get to the NFL. And that's the way Twitch is. There's a lot of us high schoolers playing video games.
It's the same on YouTube. It's any of those online platforms. Yeah. And really, I feel like it's whoever was making decent. It didn't even have to be the best, just decent content. Whenever that platform got popular, like you see that with the Vine, with all the Vine compilations. You can tell like who was making. There was a Vine upper echelon of creators. YouTube has theirs, Twitch has theirs. Like one of the really popular Twitch streamers is that he's got that mustache, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Disrespect. Yeah, it does.
Dr. Disrespect. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, and they have these like he has personality, but yeah, he gets invited to tournaments now and does presentations, and it's a lifestyle, really. You become it's a business, it's a brand for a lot of these people who are very popular.
What I did the broke a cardinal rule of interviewing, whereas I asked 2 questions instead of 1.
Yeah.
So we'll make this my second question out of the 5. What drew you to the platform? Like, how did you come to it? What about it appealed to you?
Yeah, so a lot of times what I've used it for in the past is just, I know that there's a specific set of video games. I buy maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 video games a year. Like I don't have the time anymore to be able to buy a lot of games, and it just takes a lot of time to play the video games I like to play. They're games that are 60 to 100 hours, no problem, and that just is not time that I have to be doing that a lot. And so what I had done in the past is I would, as it became popular, I don't even know how it was probably somebody sharing it on Twitter, or maybe it was just a game that I was interested in, the publishers now. So if I'm a game studio and I'm going to release a video game, I'm going to have my game developers or my PR people or the designers do a Twitch stream to show people what the game is about. And so you get an idea of what it is before I give you my money. So that's a very popular thing. And that's how I would do it. I would say, hey, does this game interest me? Well, I don't know. I saw a trailer for it and I saw a YouTube clip, but I can go watch the people who made it play it and explain it to me, and then decide after a little more in depth. And so that's kind of how I got turned on to Twitch and why I started using it. And then, it became a thing of, some people flip on the TV and they want to, they're going to watch the news. I'd flip on and I have a channel that does like a 30-minute rundown of basic stuff that's happening in the gaming community. They have a show, it kind of looks like SNL's Weekend Report,
Yeah. So it's not all just video games being
No.
narrated and played. There's
talk
is it very
shows.
centric at this point? I mean, like you said, like young people have those Twitch skills. Is that a reference to that?
Oh no, it's all video game. I just meant they're just really quick. They're not old.
Okay.
They're not old. They just have faster reflexes.
Yeah, no, I know, but you mentioned it started as this other live streaming thing, but I was just kind of wondering, is it basically like the video game version of YouTube, kind of, or are there still other things on it?
No, it's definitely, for the most part, either video game play or news, or they cover conventions now. So like E3, which is the Entertainment Expo out in Los Angeles, they host a lot of panels and shows. I think they even do Comic-Con stuff. I don't know about Comic-Con. Not sure. But they do various other video game conferences. They're called PAX, and they host that. They actually bought rights to like Bob Ross, and they had like a channel that was playing just Bob Ross episodes one time. And
that's awesome.
So occasionally, they'll do other stuff as kind of promotional. They actually do, because they're part of Amazon now, they have a game where they play whatever football games. And I think they do like associated trivia or stuff with that. So they are trying to do some crossing, but it is primarily a video game. And within that genre, primarily esports video games are the most popular.
Yeah.
Tell me one more time what esports is. Sorry.
No, so it's just competitive gaming that happens, and they're games that are, they draw millions of fans around the world. Games like I'll say the titles, even though you may not mean a whole lot to you, but like StarCraft 2 or League of Legends, even some card games, they're competitive card games, collectible card games that people play.
RuneScape.
Yeah,
RuneScape
like Hearthstone is one,
Yeah.
which is Blizzard. But they're these competitive games that have tournaments, right? And so they'll get an arena. They'll go to whatever, and they'll rent out a basketball arena in Miami, and they bring people, and there's $1 million pool, and they have these teams that come down, and they play these games, esports, for the $1 million prize pool of Overwatch or whatever it is. In fact, one of the companies, Activision, just built in, I think, Orange County or somewhere in the LA basin, arena just dedicated for esports, where they have esports tournaments.
This reminds me of that movie where Super Mario 3 came out.
Oh, the
he was
wizard.
the first person.
I was
to play.
thinking about that too.
What, the wizard?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Fred Savage and Kristen Slater.
The wizard, yeah. You keep your power
that's why
gloves
we
off
watched
her.
Yeah,
I'll have to look it
that's
up.
awesome. Oh
Yeah,
man, so fun.
It's very much it's a small community if you were to compare it to other, like YouTube or Facebook or whatever. But you're going to find people are going to show up there that are interested. You're not going to hang around Twitch too long if you're not interested in the content. It's not going to probably appeal to you. It's going to be very clear early if it's something you want to watch or not.
So third proper question. I don't know as well how to phrase this one to get you to answer what I want you to talk about, but either like, when did you want to know, or when did you know that you wanted to become a participant beyond just watching? Like, what was that? Was there a moment where you're like, oh, I'd like to do this, that sparked that? Or maybe where that how did you come to create I don't know what to call it. I don't have the right terms, but how did you come to participate as a content creator?
Yeah, so I think the thing that intrigued me, first of all, was just the technical side of it. Just this like idea of like, how are these people making any of this happen? And then you go and do the research and you realize it's a free program to download. I could just have this behind me if I wanted, but I because I wanted this to experience it, I built a green screen to be able to green screen myself in. But there's a lot of people who don't ever do that because they don't want to, or they don't want to do the work, or they're just not interested, or they don't care. But to me, it was just more of the challenge of creating that. But I think the thing that really kind of pushed me over the edge was just that I wanted to, it felt for the first time like something I could do for a chunk of time, that I could share pretty easily, that I didn't have to, it wouldn't take a huge amount of effort. Now it's taking more effort than I thought it would, which is okay. But, I'm not going to be leaving, I can still put my kids to bed. I can still meet all my obligations as a parent and a father and a friend and a whatever else, like I can do all of those things and still carve out this chunk of time, hopefully reasonably, and be able to try my hand at creating something, or just putting myself out there. And then I think after that, researching a little bit about the creative process and how people do things, and watching you, Dave and Palmer, kind of do your thing, and hearing all of the kind of things that come along with it. I just read this thing the other day. It was like the 5 steps of creating a thing, and it's like, I have this great idea. Oh, this is a lot of work. This is the biggest pile of shit that I've ever created in my life. Just finish the pile of shit so you can move on to the next great idea. I've got this great idea, and
I've heard the same thing where it goes down like that with the pile of shit, but then it comes back up to like, this is the best thing anyone has ever done, because you need that to go through it again.
Yeah. And so I can definitely relate, not maybe to those extremes, but certainly there's times where you're kind of wading through concrete a little bit. You're just like, I don't know, like maybe this is maybe I shouldn't have spent money on another monitor or whatever.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
if it's $4.99, don't ask why.
That's right.
Just press buy.
Just buy.
When it's $250.
Yes, just buy.
Yeah.
That's when you qualify for having a real problem.
Yeah. So that's the main thing. Just seeing other people, seeing you guys get out there and kind of do your thing for you, and realizing that I think there was a point in the past where I'd have been like, oh, but nobody will watch. So I don't really want to do it. It's it would have been doing it so I could see if I could get an audience versus just doing it because I want to do it. I just want to have fun. I want to go out and I want to talk about the things that I want to talk about. And if nobody ever watches it or listens to it, it doesn't matter. I just had a chance to ramble. I just talk to myself. I'm just doing it out loud instead of in my own head, laying in bed, There's no real loss.
A slightly insomniac sort of motivation too, or is that more of a engineering thinking about it?
I'm definitely going to be making a push over probably after the holidays to start incorporating some mental health stuff into the broadcast, because mental health is something that's really important to me. I can't really talk about it in official capacity because of my employment and some of the restrictions about the just what we're really able to discuss for our medicals that allow us to continue to keep working. But I can talk about it kind of unofficially and in a way that doesn't necessarily broadcast the specific experiences in my own life. But it's very clear that I obviously deal with mental health issues. And so I definitely want to
clear because you're implying it. It's not very clear to all of us.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something about that didn't sit right with me. So I just had to hop in there.
Yeah, and to reduce stigma, anytime that I could help someone, and if it's one person, get help quicker for the thing that they're facing, the thing that they feel like they can't overcome, the thing that makes them feel terrible, the thing that makes them feel worthless, that maybe wants to make them commit suicide. If it's one person that would just go say, hey, you know what? It's not a big deal. Just go ask for help. There are people who are professionals that want to help me. This is something that everybody, almost everyone, wrestles with at some point in their life. And instead of being like myself and really, up until 2 years ago, really pretend it wasn't a thing, or it made me feel weak, or it made me feel stupid, or it made me feel less than a full human being, embarrassed. But to be transparent, and I'm going to start doing that. LWSD will still take a very prime role in the support of my podcast. But there's an organization called Take This, which is a nonprofit that supports mental health in the video game community. And my goal is to do enough stuff to apply to their company to do streaming in support of them in some capacity. So
it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So
and LWSD is nothing if not mental health.
Yeah.
For the
therapy. Yeah. Kind of saving each other's lives. Just being there for each other.
You got that right.
Yeah. And you never know. It's so interesting. I mean, I ingest so much podcasts. Like I say, follow so many people's careers, and I'm searching in so many ways for comfort in those things and reflections of my own experience that help me just like feel better about myself and feel connected to my fellow human beings. And it's always surprising to me what connects and when, and you just can have no idea when that will be. Like as someone throwing those things out there, and as someone who throws a lot out there, it is. It's hard it's hard almost all the time when you don't get positive feedback, because it seems like that's the way that's supposed to work.
Right.
And sometimes, but always, I guess the good barometer is that thing of like, am I enjoying this? Is this depleting me or making or filling me up? And making sure that you're putting your energies in the parts of it that fill you up is what I found to be, obviously, quote literally, the most fulfilling. But it's at that part is difficult, always, and I think probably for everybody, because nothing, even the people on top, like no one ever stays there. Like that's just not how anything works. So it's a very bizarre. That whole paradigm of things is difficult, and now everything feels like so like everything feels like anything feels like it could take off and be the next big thing, and that it's a weird like. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. Let me move on to my next question, unless you have a response to that.
No, just that, I think that I want to do, this isn't going to be my career. I'm not going to pay my bills with this. So if I can support a cause or people or a thing that I can believe in with it, if it's a way that I could chip in and the next time they do a fundraiser, somehow I get them $100, like $10, whatever, like that, then I want to do that thing. That's the thing that can motivate me, but I really want the primary thing to be like, all right, you know what if I do a segment on this? Or like, I really want to focus on the creative part and just learn. I'm not sure what the right thing is. I'll say it. Learn to be comfortable with failure is not the word I want to use, but learn to be comfortable with that feeling of that didn't work or whatever. And just be quick on the rebound and get back in and be like, okay, that didn't work, but I've got like these 3 other things that I want to do, and not view it as failure. Just view it as that process. Yeah.
Like a book club.
Because I'm really bad. I'm awful.
Our book club, I suppose you're saying.
I'm really bad at that. I view failure as a very permanent thing, and that's probably part of my upbringing and probably also some mental health things. And so to exercise my brain as, well, that didn't work, but look at all the other opportunities that you now have.
Yeah.
I can be very prone myself to just reaching a point where I'm just like, forget it, fuck it,
yeah,
forget it.
yeah.
And then if the will is strong enough, you come back and say, no, I'm gonna keep working at this, and whatever it may be. But we're just human,
and I think it's okay, like, to get comfortable with that feeling, that frustration or that sadness or that fear or whatever it is that comes along with that, at least temporary failure, for lack of a better word. Is there a better word that I can? But you know what I mean.
There's a better word, but there is definitely a more positive spin on it, and that's probably the other thing I've heard the most often in these stories is people saying the process is always the same. They tend to long for those days when they didn't come with the baggage of everything else. The other thing is that you learn. Everyone always says you learn so much more and get so much more from your response to failure than anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
But that takes. That's a difficult thing. So
it sucks exactly so bad.
Yeah,
it sucks so bad to screw up and fail, and it's bad.
I don't think anybody is necessarily on the other side of it either, in terms of like you or. I think it's just developing perhaps the skill or the neural pathways to process that it's not the end of the world or something.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's probably always hard for everyone.
I just wish I would have taken the energy or gotten it earlier in my life. There's so many things as I get closer here to the Middle Ages of my life. I'm like, why did I wait so long to do this? Or why did I wait so long to... what was I doing?
So terrible.
Doing it now.
Learning how to fall, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that reminds me of something else that occurs to me every now and again, and it almost seems like a lot of times people's it's like it's that thing where it's like almost like your vulnerability is your strength. Like when somebody shows you a certain vulnerability, especially if you weren't expecting it or something like that, I don't know, it's weird how that can work, I guess. Maybe that's the thing about those failures, because in the thing that feels like a failure, in a way, you're realizing what it would have meant as a success. So, then like, oh, next time I guess if nothing else, next time don't do exactly what you did.
Right. Yeah.
But it might be that then, like, I don't know what I'm saying, but a lot of that is very true from a lot of things I've heard and experienced myself.
Yeah. And you listen to people deal with failure just in a variety of different ways too. So it's probably a personality, and some people deal with it very well with humor. Other people do talk about going through like different stages of grief, even if it's a big enough failure, if it's something they really believed in and it just torched, and they really deal heavily with some, the various stages. So yeah, it's an intriguing thing, even in my own small little way of wrestling with it and trying to get perspective.
Very, very cool. Okay, so I even though I said it's a cardinal rule, just in the interest of time and me wanting also to grow Moto on similar topics, for a project of his I want to discuss. Yeah. This one is just two sides of the same coin, so I'll ask you them together. So, but I would prefer this order. What has been some of the greater, like the bigger challenges, and then what has been some of the most rewarding things about this so far?
The biggest challenge has just been getting confident enough to hit the button that says start streaming. Just to get to the point where like I'm ready to just go with it and see what happens. I think part of that is doing some preparation on my part, but also part of it is just being comfortable in my own skin as much as possible and saying, this is the third time you've ever done this. Just do it with gusto and kind of embrace what you can and learn and grow and try to view it that way. So definitely just the doing has been the challenge. But, and when you talked about it being two sides of the same coin, it's so right. The most rewarding is just the doing, is just when you do get to the end and you're like, I had a really great time doing that. I thought of like 3 things that I wanted to talk about that I didn't think about before I hit the start streaming button, but just being in front of the game and having a microphone shoved in my face and being actively involved in it prompted more thought processes about, critically about whether it's, game design things or questions I would want to ask or a response to some criticisms in the community or whatever it is. Just being able to, I don't know. It's almost like you're like, I have 3 hours, or I set it up. I have 3 hours to do this, and I'm going to commit to thinking about this thing for 3 hours. And it's amazing what you think about when you commit to thinking about something for 3 hours. Yeah. So that's been rewarding as well to gain some perspective while doing it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Things you wouldn't otherwise see.
Yeah. It reminded me of something I read in this Bruce Lee book today. I was going to try to find it, but I'm not going to. But it has something to do with that thing too, of like what you're talking about and finding the parts that you like. I mean, it's the things that really, I think, feed me or whatever. It's like, if I notice is that state of like, they'll call it flow. And you're like, you realize that all this time has passed. It happens all the time for me in this podcast. It's just one of the reasons I know why it's such a good thing for me. It's like, oh my God, all this time has passed. You don't realize it because, that time flies when you're having fun thing.
Yeah, right.
But and then the other part of it is like, a little bit like people have those intense conversations sometimes when they're driving on long trips because they're not looking at each other. That's what I started to think about when you were talking about that, but it's the same thing in a way to where the extra thing or something allows like your, the certain part of your mind, maybe the neurotic part, to like stop you from stuff to where you get in this other state. So that's super interesting to me, actually, that idea that while you're engaged in it, you're able to let go of certain and then thus open up. And so I don't know.
Yeah, cool. It is. It's multiple times though. I have been like, okay, it's Tuesday. I'm not as prepared as I want to be, but I'm going to do it. let's get in there, let's get it started, get everything fired up. And I'll look down and it's like, I want to do a break every hour just for my own like bodily functions and just to like get a pattern, establish a pattern. So if somebody is in my channel, they know that every hour I'm going to take a break and blah, 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 blah. There's, just build.
I found that useful as someone tuning in from time to time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool that he's got, and it felt like somehow professional or legit in a way too. Like where I was like, oh,
I just want like,
okay.
I just want like
identification.
Yeah. I want specific things that build comfort. Because I think that's part of the goal. I know that I'm broadcasting from, midnight to 3 a.m. on the East Coast. And, there are people who are just looking for a friendly voice and something to keep their attention because they just had a bad day or their girlfriend or boyfriend left them or I don't know, whatever. Like life happens. And so there's comfort in some level of predictability. But there'll be times where I have my phone usually out or my iPad. Now I have a second monitor, but I would look down and be like, oh crap, it's 10 after the hour and I was supposed to do a break 10 minutes ago. What are my advertisers going to think? So, but it's really great when that happens.
Yeah.
When you're like, oh yeah, that went so fast. I had so much fun, being able to do that. And I still have like these things I want to talk about. And, so yeah, and it's always great too when it's a new video game. Obviously, if it's something that's been around for a while, you don't really even may have a chance to have some of those newer ideas, and there's not as much community talking going on. But the older games, the flip side of that, allow you to do a little more digging and more researching because there's more content available on them. Kind of like a movie, right? The longer the movie around, there's more chance that there's going to be a special edition with director's commentary and a making of and whatever, right? And so the same thing for video games. There's kind of a pro and a con for each. So
very cool. Thank you for answering all those questions. Thank you to the other guys for just like going with it. I'm like, I got things I need to know.
Yeah. It's like David Rather.
I know. That's kind of I don't know, maybe that's going to be a segment. I know it's someone else's name, but there's something about that.
Yeah. Oh, David. I said David Rather.
Oh, Dan Rather. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Dan Rather's his name, so David.
That's right. Well, I mean, just so, yeah. I really appreciate so much of what you said and relate to an awful lot of it. But also, the last things I want to leave my portion of this segment leave you with is when and this has come up on the show before. I guess it's coming up in my work week or something. But like the whole thing of when I'm trying to either give or get criticism, I really appreciate when there's a framework and like I know either what I'm being asked to evaluate, like or it's best if I approach someone knowing what I'm looking to get out of that equation so that I can communicate it to them. So knowing what you're going for is interesting to me in that regard. So that idea of like you want to create this certain space, create this certain amount of comfort, share this kind of thing. So I'll tell you both objectively and subjectively, the things that you mentioned, if I was just watching for those things, I would say you're meeting all of those marks. And just subjectively, as someone who tuned in before I knew that's what you were hoping this or that person would get out of it, I also experienced those things. So for what it's worth, I think you're doing great. And I'm so incredibly impressed that you've showed up these so many weeks in a row. There's something to that, like in the podcasting world and stuff too. I noticed that as a podcast consumer, the ritual of like when something comes out, you come to rely on that. Like, your appointment with those people, even if I can't listen to it at that time, if I can't listen to it for weeks, I'm like, oh, good. Yeah.
Yep.
Mark Maron, I listen to him all the time, but like he publishes twice a week without fail for almost 10 years now. And there's a bunch of people
incredible.
like that, but there's something to that. Not to say that you shouldn't adjust your schedule.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
thanks. I appreciate that.
Well, and on the other side of that coin is like, it's Mark Maron's job to put out stuff like, you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
So it's
that
two
makes
things
a
a week. So like,
He has people. Mark Maron does not.
Yeah, like
podcast or maybe I don't know.
But Seth. Let's use Seth Rogen. He's a great example that's come up multiple times on this podcast. Like he's got if you watch his clips on YouTube, he's like, "Hey, bring this up." He's yelling to somebody else. That's like,
"Oh, Joe Rogan, you mean?" Right?
Joe Rogan.
Okay.
No, what did I say? Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
I was on board for that too. It was like,
Joe Rogan, where he's got the full studio set up, and like he can just sit there and just say, "Bring this up. Send me this. I want this." What can you fact check this thing this person just said? And.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, absolutely.
It's great to be inspired by those upper echelons, but it's really like you cannot compare yourself to them because they're just on a different planet. Like right now, like this is our audience. Like us for the longest time, even on Long Short Drink, like us was our audience, and it's still pretty much just us. But that us has gotten a little bigger. You know what I mean? Like. And it'll slowly get a little bigger.
Hopefully. Yeah. If you're listening, would it kill you to tell a friend?
Yeah. We just got a new subscriber actually tonight. I got a notification of a new subscriber.
Whoa. Could you hit the like button?
Maybe right.
Subscribe? Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. No, my guy I watch, he always asks. He's English, so I could I don't get tired of listening to him or his personality, but he's always asking for the like and share and.
Yeah,
we'll always do that part in British accents now.
Yeah,
just to
make it somewhat
down smoother.
Yeah.
What does he say? Oh crap! He's always like, "Have a marvelous day."
Oh,
have a marvelous time recording and mixing.
Oh, that really does make a difference.
That's awesome.
It's like, you know what? I think I'm going to. Thank you.
Now, because you told me, I will, sir.
Yeah.
And because you said it in such a dapper way, I'll ensure.
He's great.
Very cool.
He's always doing schnizzle. I'm gonna push the schnizzle out of this. Yeah. Produced like a pro, Warren Hewitt.
Oh, that is
I watched him grow from 99. I was in like the 98,000, and now he's up at 240. They're approaching 250,000 within a couple years or a year or something like that.
Subscribers? Yeah.
Yeah. So he's really taken off, and it's fun to watch him grow.
That's
awesome.
It's weird.
It's weird how that stuff works. I've talked about it many times on this show, but one of my favorite podcasts to listen to is ultimately a radio show that I think does an auto capture to SoundCloud, like for everything. It's a borderline public, no, not public access. It's like a real. They eventually got FM status in the time I've been listening to them. River West out of Milwaukee.
Cool.
But it's real like community-based programming. So it's FM in Milwaukee, and then they have figured out something to where it goes out on SoundCloud and stuff. But it's not like on iTunes. They don't really put forth a lot of effort. But it's that Cinema Fireside program with Mark Borchardt of American Movie Notoriety. But I like if I look at the numbers of their posts, it's comparable to ours, which in a way is crazy to me.
Yeah.
In terms of like it should be way more. But I try to remember that sometimes if I get discouraged about our situation or our number stagnance or the thing I should never think about, where it's like I love that show. I listen to that show all the time. I don't even always agree with those guys, but they're a part of my life, and they bring me this like sort of comfort and joy in their own way. And they don't know that. I don't reach out to them. There's really not ways I can. I mean, other than Facebook, which I don't do. So, but it's to Twinkie's point about that throwing this certain energy and intention out into the world. You don't know necessarily that one person could be a person to whom it means everything, in that moment.
Yep.
So
right.
Anyway, I certainly appreciate what you've been doing. I tune in when I can. A lot of times it's when I'm polishing up this show and publishing it on late Tuesday nights. And it's so cool to know you're out there.
To have you check in. It's great to have a friendly voice and all of that really kind of makes it, anytime there's a community at all, you realize how valuable it is, which is why this community here at Long Walk Short Drink is I feel is very valuable to have.
Yeah. When you were you and Moto were the first to make it feel so. So it's
Absolutely,
appropriate
yeah.
we're talking to you now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always wanted to be a part of the cabin. I
You
was one of
are.
those people that-
Welcome.
Yeah.
I'll just film it. Or just be the sound guy or something. Couldn't be in it.
That was probably a little bit too big of an age gap. I think like 2 years was probably the distance it ran at that time. But now it all blurs together.
Yeah, we're all
Absolutely.
we're all old.
Yeah, we're
So-
all old.
Yeah.
Fucking A, right? Are we all old?
I saw somebody kind of poking in, and I hope he comes right back.
I hope he comes
Yeah.
back too. Yeah, there was a double D there.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna just step out for a couple minutes to do some bedtimes, and then I'll be
I
back.
think it's a great break time.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's take 10 minutes and then we'll come back and we'll catch up with Moto. Hopefully Double D will be on by then because problems will be sorted out.
Yeah.
He'll
I
come
like
back,
his
we're all
avatar.
gone.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, like that.
He's like, where the fuck is everybody? Yeah.
Nope, too late.
Awesome.
Shortest long walk drink ever.
All right, see you guys in a bit. All right.
All right.
Double D, how are you, sir?
I'm well. How's it going?
Oh man, doing great this evening. We're having fun.
Good deal.
Great to see you.
Oh,
I
great
guess-
to be seen.
I'll let you see me, I guess. So.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just looking at this van. There he is. What's up, Moto?
Hey, what's up?
How's it going, man?
Man, just catching up. What we were talking about Twinkie's Twitch and his challenges and overcoming those challenges and just enjoying the process. And it's funny, I could really relate. Dave could relate, and very LWSD.
Nice. Very nice. Looks like the bride has the heat turned down in the house already for sleeping comfortably.
Constantly. It's a never-ending battle.
I saw the hoodie go on and go up. I was like,
Oh my god. I was sweating earlier, but now it's frigid.
Oh, is it?
Look what I have here. Not your father's mountain ale.
yes. Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
I got
stuff.
this December. No, this is
That's
you
from
gave
it.
me this in December. I don't
Aged
even
it.
know. There's a lot about this that doesn't look right. So
Yeah.
I don't know how it
boy.
ages. Well, I'll find out.
I drank some of that apple cider vinegar. I just drank a little bit and boo, might taste like that.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, I don't know if that's supposed to last a year or not.
Maybe it'll be that much better. I think it's only because it's essentially some sort of hopped up Mountain Dew that it has survived my insatiable appetites these
Yeah.
nearly 12 months. But
Yeah.
I've also been saving it until you were on. And I think the last time that was the case, I forgot.
Gotcha. I'm afraid you're going to be severely disappointed.
I mean, if it tastes like Mountain Dew, I think I'll be pleased because
Oh, good
ultimately,
deal.
Mountain Dew is delicious. I just, I can't. Like everything that tastes good is bad for you, and so
Yeah, of course.
I mean, of a certain sort.
Did you end up trying that dragon's milk?
I tried that there
gotcha.
in Des Moines, and I've almost bought it a few times since. It's just so high. It's a high octane
Yes.
that I don't
indeed.
trust myself to purchase it. Plus, I'm trying to drink less and less in my own company, and so. But I loved it. I thought it was delicious.
Good deal.
One of my worst nights was just a 4-pack of Blackout Stout.
Yeah,
Ooh.
that's
I
the same
was-
sort of thing. Yeah.
I was trying to cut back on the calories and stuff, so I didn't eat any of the pizza or wings. There's all kinds of food, and I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. Cut back the calories, working out. Oh my god! And then we got to we went to Musica to watch Triska talk, and first somebody got me a shot of Crown Royal, and it was just I ended up kicking a painting that night. I was like one of my drunkest moments ever. I was so drunk. I'm glad we got out of there. Like, what?
Wait a minute. Pump the brakes.
There's so much to unpack here.
Yeah. You ended up kicking the painting.
Oh wait, Double D needs to know too. This is the club.
Yeah, we played
about
there.
about a decade ago. I had finished my first solo album. Moto helped me make it. That place had basically been a garage. They were just trying to become a club. I held a CD release party that I didn't know if anyone's going to come to it. I really didn't. But I'd been doing a hard press, and turned out my secret weapon was having the guy who made his name playing in middle school and high school bands. Like, he had already built his audience and then left him like waiting for, I don't know how many years, almost 10 years or something like that.
That's the
come
key.
up again. Yeah. So the place, nobody was prepared. Not us, not the staff, not the club. Like, there was like 200 and some people, but in that place, it felt like pandemonium. It was crazy. And so we were actually we were appealing to that establishment because we meant business. So,
and when I mean business, I mean their paintings.
Moto came back. So I wasn't there for this night, but that's part of the backdrop, because wasn't Jim the sound guy? Isn't that
Yo,
part
Jimbo?
of the story? Where no, a different Jim.
No, it was just a friend.
Okay, I thought he was the one that stopped you. That's how I.
No, he knew the owners at the time, so he was like in with them, and he knew me, and he knew that I was not out of my normal behavior and all that. And really, what happened was they had this painting that would be where you go to the restrooms. It was like, I don't know, it was big, 3 foot by 4 foot or something. It was a big painting, and they had it on the ground for some reason behind this like 2-rail little walkaway thing. And so I was freaking really way too drunk, and I just saw the back of it, the canvas part, and I had been like kicking a heavy bag for part of my workout, and I thought, oh, this is a heavy bag. and then I had to kick left-footed, so I'm like, oh yeah, let's try it out left-footed. And I kicked it once and kind of laughed to myself, and then I kicked it again.
Are you kicking the side of it, or where are you kicking it?
It was leaning up.
It's flat, right?
Yeah. Somebody said I kicked a hole in it. I don't remember a hole, but I kicked it twice. I did that, and then they hung it back on. I'm like, I need to get out of here. It's like, I was so drunk. So a 4-pack of Blackout Stout. There you go.
It's pretty much like that dragon. Is it Dragon's Milk? What was it? The name of it?
Yeah, Dragon's Milk.
Yeah, it's like that sort of potent thing, and that must have been. You probably didn't know. I know when I drank my first sort of more potent beers, I had no idea that was even a possibility, and they, destroyed me.
Yeah.
I knew, I just didn't eat any food, which is bad. And then I did the shot of Crown Royal or two, and I was just...
Oh, the Blackout. I mean, that's not just the name. I mean, they sell those 4-pack Great Lakes for a reason, because of the alcohol content.
And I only had drinking like 2 or 3, and so I chugged the one before I left. So I finished the one, and then I had another one left, and I chugged that right before I went. Then I had the 2 I was kicking paintings.
That's a recipe for kicking paintings, yeah.
Can't take me anywhere, I'm telling you.
Wow. Oh wait, Palmer left again. All right, I'm gonna try this. Oh, okay. Well, now I'm just gonna try this. Not Your Father's Mountain Dew. See how it goes.
Hang on. Get out. Go.
Smells like Mountain Dew. Oh, it tastes like Mountain Dew. And it's just got the.
Oh man, is that from last year?
It is, yeah. I was worried because it's really like it looks like something out of Ghostbusters. Like, I don't know, the subtlety of the colors and stuff can't really be done justice by these internet graphics. But I was a little worried, but
that's Double D's jam right there.
Yeah, it tastes amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig this. All right.
It's just like Mountain Dew with booze in it.
Which
With
about
booze.
Dew is amazing too.
Yeah.
Growing
Does
up,
it make you want to go like hang gliding
Exactly.
and like canoeing?
Canoeing.
Oh yeah, I feel ready.
Extreme canoeing. Extreme spells extreme with X's instead of like
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
I used to drink a ton of Mountain Dew. Oh, as a kid, I can't believe how much I drank. Maybe like 6 or more in a day.
And Surge. You guys remember Surge?
Oh, I remember
Oh,
Surge.
Yeah.
Surge had a little more bite.
Yeah.
Low mids.
Burger King. Does your Burger Kings have Surge out in
They
Minnesota?
brought it back.
They
I
did.
don't know. I managed to avoid, but Burger King was, other than Hardee's, the first fast food to come through Rittman. And when I was first working at WCTV, basically second shift, I developed this habit of going there like every day. So if you see the Steve documentary, you can see it on me. Moto Palmer, I guess. Double D will subject you to it someday. But and I remember Pumps was making fun of me like at the time. He's like, "You're just gonna eat Burger King every day and edit in this dark room." So right. But I've been off the Burger King for a long time, but I remember it fondly. So
they have Burger King has Surge on Fountain. You can get Fountain Surge, which I didn't even think when Surge existed you could get it on the Fountain.
Oh my god, this is a problem. Honestly, just Mountain Dew would be a problem.
Yeah.
The bride hosts she brings students over one time a year sometimes. I think probably depending on the group and a few other things, and then we get all this pizza, and then like we buy all these sodas and stuff we don't have around. Now we have pizza sometimes, and I'm always like, just order so much more than you need because this is a golden opportunity for me. I want this pizza.
Right.
This is party time.
Yeah.
This one time in particular, there were like wrestlers. And I was like, you better order more food. Like, this dude is going to eat all the pizza I want. But anyway, because of that, like a few times, like one time we had the Mountain Dew, and I was just like, holy shit, this is like God's nectar. I forgot.
Yeah.
Then another year was grape soda. I was like, Jesus, this will do. So, I don't know. Can't really handle these things.
Mountain Dew is one of those sodas where like you open a can of it and you're just like, and it's like there's only just this much left in the can. You're like, how did that even happen? Like,
there's always that much left. Yeah.
that much.
Yeah.
You open it, you take your first drink, and there's this much left. Whenever I have Mountain, this is why I can't have Mountain Dew. I have to grab 2 every time because the first one is just the first sip, and then the second one is that's the one where you're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
Oh,
My Uncle Bill still to this day.
That's what
we
I was
can always
thinking
have him with Mountain
I was
Dew. He's
thinking
always got
about-
Mountain Dew with him. Just like
I was
if he
thinking
doesn't
about
have it
Bill.
on him, it's in the car or the the truck
Wow.
or whatever.
But
But
like,
it's
I don't.
funny.
Do you remember Bill? Like when so we'd go down to visit the grandparents, and Bill lived there, and he would just flat out like have his shirt rolled up above his belt.
Yeah, it was like after dinner. He would
Yeah.
just do that, just like let it out. It was like,
That was
all
just, like,
right.
all Mountain Dew. That's like brought to you by Mountain Dew.
Funny he wasn't on any of those extreme commercials.
I
yeah.
know.
What they
Yeah.
don't tell you is
False
you get
advertising.
extreme diabetes with Mountain Dew.
Yeah. Oh.
Diabetes. Feel
Rock
the
your
rush.
teeth.
Like,
Feel
Yeah.
Holy
That's your
cow.
legs disappearing.
Best
Yeah.
part about this is like perfect LWSD talk that doesn't even count.
yeah.
This is 8 minutes of a Mountain Dew sketch.
Yep. We didn't
It
know what we were
counts.
in for.
for the anthology. Yeah, no, it all counts.
It counts.
Double D, how
Showed up.
are you, sir? I made a hard sell. Well, in as much as I do that, I guess. I was like, I gotta see. I haven't talked to Double D since 50, and that was marginal. You referenced
Yeah, it
something
was-
at text today that I was like, he's got a new situation since I last knew. What can you tell us? You can tell me that you could also share with our listeners.
Oh man. Wow. So it's just been crazy. Like fall and fall is my busy time. I have I moonlight as in some extracurricular activities. All legit, all on the up and up, of course.
We can know about that or no?
Um
The
Yeah.
royal we? No? Okay. I like to know. I like to get a heads up sometime if I could somehow.
Remember, that's how he caught
See
the
on TV.
podcast.
Yeah.
Because I know that's that's got to be a possibility.
I might have talked over that. Dave wants a heads up if there's a chance of him seeing you on TV.
Yeah.
That's what.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, and I'm hoping that that there is going to be a good possibility here in the next few weeks.
That's great.
But I will know for sure probably by Monday or Tuesday of this upcoming week. Once everything gets through all the committees and all that stuff and assignments come
All
out.
right.
So we'll keep my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yes. Keep me posted. That appeals to me.
Absolutely. I would love to. That'll be fun. So even though you're not a sports guy, I know, but
oh, that's giving too much away. No, I'm not a video game guy either, and I'll listen to Twinkie's Twitch. I'm I'm a loyal but absent friend, and I also really like when people are making stuff. So this is a sort of way. I don't know. I mean, people are always making stuff, but you can't always see it. Right. So even though you're not building something or whatever, I can see what you're doing. That appeals to me.
Yeah. Awesome. Very good.
Well,
and
the grandeur of that, the national scale is that's got to be exciting. Come on.
It is
times
super.
that happened? You know, I'm sure. Yeah. Tell me how many times it's happened. You know.
Oh my gosh. It's happened several times. I mean, good grief, lots and lots of times.
Dozens? Less than.
Yeah, dozens for sure.
Oh, I thought maybe it was more rare than that. Oh, that's super cool.
So yeah, it's fun because the kids will get like all the network paraphernalia, the hats and shirts and stuff like that. They'll give them to
cool.
us.
They'll send you home with it, or they get to.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's so great.
So it's a lot of fun.
Wow.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Definitely. I was looking for a GIF that we had.
You son of a bitch! Don't you dare
somewhere.
No, don't you dare.
No. I'll get it. And I'll send it over to you, Dave. There's a GIF of of one of Double D's television performances. That's just classic. Classic.
Uh-oh.
I can't wait.
There's no way that I could even describe it without totally giving everything away, but man, classic.
I may or may not be able to send that out on the thread if I can find it.
Yeah, I can't. I was just looking in the one thread that I would have it, and I must have deleted it the last time I cleaned out room on my phone.
Thank goodness.
It's as epic as the Splash Mountain photo.
Yeah, that's great.
Pretty.
Yeah,
the Splash Mountain photo is awfully epic.
So is this. This is this is good too.
I sometimes alternate between feeling sad and just proud or glad that we have the type of dynamic on our show that we do that doesn't allow for transparency.
Yeah. There's a sense of mystery and otherness with it that I feel like if I was a cast member, there would be a moment of pause where I could be if I wasn't, and if I didn't know us, where there would be these people have a life outside of this that they put an effort into giving me a piece of every week while still preserving it. And I appreciate that. I would think I would hope that they would appreciate that, and it would create this sense of mystery and otherness with about us,
yeah, and familiarity.
Yeah,
I hope that's what I enjoy most with podcasts and stuff like that, is feeling that sense of familiarity, and you can follow someone's life, and you the Smodcast, we talk about Smodcast a lot, and Scott Mosier has been off making the Grinch movie. Scott Mosier, who's one half of Smodcast with Kevin Smith.
Yep.
And he was back on yesterday for the first time in quite a while, talking about the Grinch and that experience. And actually, a lot of that resonated with what Twinkie was talking about in terms of he's involved in this enormous film that he co-directed.
Right.
But he was just saying it's kind of all the same. It's it actually doesn't even begin to approximate the experience of Clerks back in the day.
Right.
But I mentioned that because I had this weird sense at some point during the. I was like, I don't exactly know where it came from. A couple of things about the way he said things. I'm like, is he Is he getting divorced? Is he divorced? And it bothered me. I don't know, Scott. Really?
Yeah.
And then by the end, he finally like did mention his wife. I'm like, oh, thank God! Like the bride and I are looking it up on Wikipedia, but it's a bizarre thing. It's an unprecedented in term. Like the medium allows for unprecedented windows, I think, into people's lives and like sharing between individuals on a mass scale sometimes. Anyway, I sometimes wish or wonder what it'd been like if I had obscured my identity some, because that would allow me to share some things that I can't. I ultimately I censor myself when I know it would affect the other parties.
Yes.
In a potentially negative way.
Well,
anyway.
and I just don't ever want somebody to be like, "Oh, your fucking show ruined my life." You know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna.
Yeah. Or jobs. I mean,
or jobs.
I had a bandmate that something like that kind of happened to in the MySpace days.
Yeah.
We didn't get to that band, Moto. Tonight.
Wait, what's it? How did that happen?
Yeah.
Well, maybe this is a segue of sorts. Double D, do you have a tight timeline? Because I don't want to lose you, and because I get on a thread here.
Thread away.
All right.
Long walk, short drink. You don't want to get on this. I don't want to get on the sidebar.
Just remember, it's like to turn the ship around.
Yeah,
I know. Well, we wanted the full cast. We would want the full cast anyway. We'll take any of you whenever you're willing and able to come on. So I had a hand in finishing up a new release of old material created by Moto in one of his first bands 20 years ago that we just put out since the last Long Walk Short Drink. New old Moto album.
Well, the best thing was we got to remaster the audio a little bit, take out some of the tape hiss, and but the best thing was Dave made this music video from like 1997 footage of us and put all the other footage together, and he did that so well. You don't need to know the people that are in the video, and then so the people that know us are like, what the fuck is this, where has it been? And so Dave really just shocked a bunch of people with this video, and the nostalgia thing. And I guess music's one of the biggest things for nostalgia. I just read that recently. But that feeling is cool where it's fleeting, it's just like this, I don't know, like I've been here. It's almost like deja vu or something. It's not deja vu, but it's just that I don't know, there's a certain feeling when you see something like that.
So let me hit you with the five, not the same 5 questions. This 5-question thing is arbitrary, but it's a way to kind of corral me.
This is David Rather with Moto.
I gave it to Twinkie, and I'm going to give it to you, or pose it to you. That sounds all so creepy. But what is Enormity, the band?
What?
What is Enormity, the band? Like, how did it come to be? Explain it to us that don't know.
Well, first of all, it's hard to name bands, and I don't know. I was making out with my girlfriend when we came up with the name, or I think she came up with it, and she was part of the band for a while. It was just we were.
What year was this? And how old were you?
We're making out, so it was an easy stretch for her to come to Enormity. Like
Double D, don't say you got to say it out loud.
She just like slid her hand down my pants, and she's like, "I know the name of your band.
It's Enormity.
It's Enormity."
That was my dick's name in college. Yeah,
that's my dick's name in college.
What are you doing, sir? Double D's so used to not being on mic. That was gold. You can't give other people your gold. Are you crazy? He goes, Enormity. That was my dick's name in college. That's what
it says. I didn't even see that there. Shit.
That's very generous of you, but
yeah, I'm sorry.
I didn't know that.
I could not resist that. We were making out, and my girlfriend came up with it, and I'm like, yeah, because she probably had her hand on his dick.
I didn't even think of that. We were going through a dictionary, and that's the name. And, we're busy making out, and everybody's going through stuff because they joke about it.
So she had her hands on your dick dictionary.
No.
Yeah.
No, I was quite the virgin.
Yeah.
Well, the band was called Cheese, if I'm not mistaken, which it's an extra layer of I don't know,
saw
Dick
them.
Cheese or what, but
It was a 3-piece band. It was drums, guitar, and bass, and they were all friends of mine. I didn't really know that they were doing this, but we had like a school assembly, and they played a few songs, and I was just completely energized. It was the old, what did they call that? It would have been our middle school, and the old basketball.
Yeah, I
Instead
know
of the
exactly
new
what you're
one.
talking about. Do you remember, Palmer? So it's the middle school gym, but not
There's
like
a name for
it's
it.
the
It's like-
older one. The
So
older
there's a
part of it.
weird reverb to that room.
Yes, and it has
And-
it feels
So the
like
middle
you're
school
in a
had 2
1920s
gyms.
high
Like
school
it
or
had the
something.
auditorium.
Yeah.
Broadman texted to us.
Yeah, he
if
might
he's here.
know.
I'm sure I even know. But anyways, that they were in this room and there's this reverb and this and the guitar was just like one note, but I was really energized, and I actually called them and asked if I could. I didn't even know if to try out. I just asked if I could be their singer. They didn't have a singer. I had never sang. But I had been around music. We've had music in our house, and one of the best parts of traveling, listening to music. And just went in church and things, and
So this would be like
So
what,
anyways-
1995? You were in middle school. I guess?
that's eighth grade in 96.
96,
In
okay.
97 we're freshmen.
So 96-ish, and you were in
Yeah.
middle school. Okay, 3-piece, and you asked to join.
Yeah, I actually had the gumption to call and ask them to see if I could be their singer without even knowing if I could sing.
You knew those guys, like the 3 guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's see. I actually had to ask Shamrock, I think, because he was friends with the twins.
Okay.
And but I knew, the other one I was friends with. I knew.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Remember that.
anyways, they had me try out, and I think I played Wish, or they played Wish, and
They played like 9 Inch Nails' Wish without
and
you
I
asking. They just had it.
sang Wish, and I got the job.
That's intense, bro.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was such a tiny room. But you know what? That music was cool back then. It's like I think it's cool that I guess now you can buy a keyboard and you can make music with a keyboard and whatever software you have. But I'd like the idea of a garage band back then. It's like guys with instruments that set a time after school or on a weekend, Thursday evenings, or like this, Wednesdays, to get together and try to play music. But and it was sort of grunge was like punk and rock. So the punk part was like this rudimentary playing. So you didn't have to be good. Like Palmer had a band, I had a band, Dave had a band. Double D, where's your band, dude?
Yeah.
Did you have a band, Double D?
Were you in a band, Double D?
I was in show choir.
Ah,
Well, that's your band.
That counts.
See, everybody's got a band. But yeah, the 90s. So
yeah. But it was cheat. Then cheat.
That's the dictionary makeout.
Questions. But Enormity was first Cheese. Was that super short lived? The whole Cheese name. That was the first band name, right?
Oh yeah. Because I think maybe when we went to, I don't know, we ended up. I don't know why we changed the name.
It was called Cheese.
I don't remember.
You probably wanted to be cool than.
That was a good choice to change that name.
And maybe we couldn't get gigs or something. They're like, that name sucks. I can't remember why we changed the name. Other than now I was a part of the band
Because you had a big dick. That's why.
Yeah, it's like Big Dick's part of the band now,
Yeah.
boys.
Called Cheese.
Yeah, they probably think I am a big dick. Being an asshole. But I'm thankful that happened, and we've had a lot of fun from it.
Excellent. So that's what Enormity is. Basically, it was a middle school cusp of
Turned
middle
high
school
school
into
band.
high school band. I hadn't thought about these questions ahead of time. So
One down.
okay. Well, all right. I'm going to send you guys a link to the album. I think ultimately we should watch
One
the
down,
video, but not just
motherfucker.
yet. So I'll send you guys a link to the album. The album that we or EP, I guess you could say, that we put out in DreamingOutLoudRecords.com 20 years after the fact is live at the Odeon, Enormity live at the Odeon. So how did a band that essentially formed in 1996 in middle school play one of the premier concert clubs in Cleveland just 2 years later?
That was a sweet
freshman
it's
or
unique.
sophomore?
Well, it's unique because I think the first year they had this competition called the Rock Off at the Odeon down in the Flats, which I think they've reopened now, which was closed for a long time, and they have reopened. It was a really, really cool venue to go see a band that you really like. You know, some of the acts that would go through there. Yeah, anyways, it was a high school competition thing, be a part of this Rock Off. And the first year we went up to just watch. And then the next year, I think we had to submit, whatever, a demo to be accepted. And then that's how we got to be a part of it.
So 98, you would have been juniors in your participation?
Sophomore, or freshman. I'm not good with time. It's freshman or sophomore.
Right. Okay. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
It was
so
freshman.
This EP ultimately that we put out as this live at the Odeon was it's not like a soundboard recording or anything like that. Ultimately, it's just some of the only surviving material from this young band. Oh, Twinkie's back. Hey, Twinkie.
Hi. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. This is
Right.
great. I love listening to.
Oh man, there it is, the full cast.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Oh, it's beautiful. So I've turned my 5 questions on my brother here.
Oh, nice, perfect. I'm
we're
fantastic. I can't wait to listen.
We're talking about his middle school eighth grade into high school band called Enormity, which has released their first and only recording publicly available, now available for free on Dreaming Out Loud.
But you know what? That's what's freaking awesome about this. Like, it's it hasn't ever been released. So like now, and it's a lot of that's. I think that's why there was such shock. No one's ever seen the footage. I know, other than the band. Like after the night, you go home and watch it. On a TV at home, plug in the camcorder to your TV, and you watch it. You're like, oh, that's how it happened. And you're still kind of adrenaline rushed, but you're like, okay, yeah, it says like, okay, we watch it again. Oh yeah. But after that, you just kind of gets lost. Like other medium we were talking about. Yeah, medium's great, but digital's it's got its other benefits because it's can live longer.
You know what? So we set up. I'm floundering a little, I'll admit. So we set up the band a little bit. I think what might be cool is if we do just watch the video, because then the other guys will get a clear picture.
Oh.
We can talk about it. It'll set it all up.
So this is it's only 4:55, right? It's only 5
Well, I was
minutes.
gonna say,
Yeah,
I apologize for the second or third verse why it's so long, but Dave did a phenomenal job. As I said, you don't need to know the people to enjoy this video.
Yeah.
And we do, so we will extra. So let me just preface the. So I maybe I won't ask 5 complete questions or whatever, but 1998 or 2018 rather, I was starting to observe all these like anniversaries that I even had to cut back on because there's so fucking many of them. And at the end of last year, I was doing this thing for another friend of ours, Yost, who plays in a band with Moto and me sometimes. Anyway, I put together this whole thing that truly I couldn't share with anyone. And so I was on that track, but I was like, this thing fucking needs to exist. So we discussed in other Long Walk Short Drink episodes. But in doing that and feeling this 1998 sort of 20-year anniversary of this, 10-year anniversary of that approaching, there was this thing nagging at me. So Moto had this band, and I'll ask him to talk about it later. But they got some studio time. I think they won it in a competition, different competition.
Yep.
And they went into a studio. I was working. Actually, I wasn't working at WCTV, the Cable Access Center, just yet. But I was just starting to go there to learn the machines and to figure out how I could edit my Crow movie. And I don't know why I didn't go there myself, but I was just like, if you guys are going to have this studio session, somebody please bring a video camera. I'll make a music video. I'd never done this before, but I wanted to. And so the bass player's dad did bring a camera and did film things. I think he filmed them in EP mode, which meant they wouldn't play on this Panasonic, whatever the fuck that is over there. Not quite working yet, but that's another story. Whatever. So I started this music video then based on this session that they had, which was really like a demo session, I guess. But they had 5 original songs and they recorded them live, best I can tell, after the fact. 20 years later, from watching the footage, they played it live in a room, no click track or whatever, just the band playing. Then you would sing the overdubs afterwards, maybe some shakers and harmonies. Is that right?
Yeah, and that's the only one of the members asked if we had the audio recordings. It's like, no. I'm pretty sure the one brother sent it in to get a demo or to get a gig.
Yeah.
It's like, why didn't you make a copy?
That kills me.
Are you serious?
No, I'm pretty serious.
Are you
back in the day?
Fucking serious? The only copies got sent in as a demo somewhere? Oh,
just to get a gig, even like may or may not have been listened to more than once, if ever.
Because I'm weird, I'm like I can have my freak out moments and more Moto stories, which I try to control and whatnot. But I remember being upset back then that it was gone. So I do remember, just because we're a little crazy and stuff.
I would have lost my mind.
Yeah.
No, kind of brought back those feelings. It's like, oh yeah. No, so it's great that it's there and that stuff is saved and now it's digitized and now Dave's awesome at what he does and
that's very nice of you. But I started to try to edit this video. So they had the studio recording of these freshmen in high school recording these original songs. I had this footage, but it wasn't quite enough. So I went over to where they rehearsed in the Twins' basement. The lead guitarist and the drummer, they hosted the practices in their basement, and they were twins, not
twin brothers.
Yeah, they weren't like identical twins, but they were the same age, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I filmed a few passes of them playing along to the song on my VHS-C camcorder, and I guess thought I could make a video out of this, but I never tried anything like that with the synchronization, with all the various angles. And I got about 30 seconds in and was just having trouble making it work, and then kind of switched gears to editing The Crow and never really looked back. But I thought of it not often, but every once in a while I'd be like, I never did finish that.
Of course it nagged away at you.
Yeah, for 20 years. And so as this time was coming up and I was starting to populate the Dreaming Out Loud Records.com site with like these archived things and the Vimeo page as well, just like kind of preserving this stuff. It came from that mold scare, etc. I was looking back in these ways and trying to make sure that this stuff just didn't die. And so it turned out, what I would often think, I was like, did I tape over the rest of that song? Or is this, because that tape got given away. I was like, well, is the rest of, it wasn't until like a few months ago that actually I did this at the beginning of 2018. Turned out I laid the song down. Back in those days, you had to do that on the tape. You had to lay down the whole song first, and you go back and they would call it insert edit. So it wouldn't replace the sound, just the image. So I actually had the full song of this Man of the Crowd, is the name of it, that I wanted to make the music video for. So even though I didn't finish the music video, the whole song was there. So it's the only surviving thing from that session. I think it ultimately became like mono and stuff. So it's not like high quality, and it was a demo to begin with from tape. Double D. Double D has also figured out the only way to get a word in edgewise, which is to text it.
Yeah.
This is the lead into one of Moto's 5 questions. I'll probably have to scale back into 5.
No, the video is the lead in. The 5-minute video is the lead into the question. This is the lead into the 5-minute video.
The video is probably the most representative and fun thing about it. But I also think it's the thing that will tell the story to you guys. So I figure we watch it together. But I did think it worth noting that the first 30 seconds come from 1997. The rest of it comes from the beginning of this year. when I did have the skill, I guess, to pull it off.
And tools and
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, not to myself, but like to everyone else, I guess I had the tools. I just didn't have the skills at the time.
couldn't have done it the way you did now.
No,
Yeah.
not now. Yeah. You can like stretch the time and stuff with digital
Press
editing.
play.
All right. So this tells you all you need to know. Watch this on YouTube.
The top one, Enormity, Man of the Crowd.
Yeah. Then
Okay.
rock that full screen. That'll be as good a quality as we can get.
$1997.
This is the basement stuff, studio stuff, baby faces all around.
I'm swimming to you, but just to feel the coldness of your lies. With your
Baby Moto.
trail of games and
I can't believe how young Moto looks.
of my time.
Fucking tape.
Out.
Look at that tape. Oh,
To
English I am.
selfishness and greed. Oh,
look at all those fucking people. That still blows my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know what to plead.
My t-shirt.
But someone smacked me.
Yeah, that was. I always stole your
The
t-shirt.
A4, yeah.
I'm a liar. Oh, all my thoughts and dreams are full of all your lies. Smothering wishes can't bring me to my knees. Well, I want to start a new
Oh boy.
What's really funny is I don't remember any of you looking that young,
like that.
even back then.
Yeah.
It's so weird to me.
Like that.
Look at Moto's got his shirt off in the studio. That I love it.
That was a,
He took his shirt off at some point.
I just imagine the shirt coming off and him just running around headbutting people and like, we're gonna fucking do this.
they were making fun of me, as they should.
Moto, there was such a long period of time where like all I knew about you was the soccer story where you punched some guy in the face.
I have some soccer stories, but I went to punch one guy and I actually hit the ref instead.
Oh, yeah, I think that's the story. So I punched him.
That's like the only time in life I've swung at somebody.
Yeah.
Like, and he was watching the whole thing and then stepped in and got.
As the passion of my hate. Oh, I know you were never in love.
Oh my gosh, this is like a time capsule. I love it.
Gosh. Isn't it a weird feeling?
It's what I would have done at the time, but it is interesting, I suppose, that you're only seeing it now.
You're spinning on my grave while
It's what I would have done at the time if I could. It's what I was trying to do.
someone smacked me. Oh, I think I have a life. All my thoughts and
It's great to see this grunge band with just this nice, clean-cut hairstyles. And
There wasn't a lot happening longer. I played basketball.
Ah!
I want to
For
Everyone else
Dreher?
shaved their. No, it was. Let's see. 8th grade. I wasn't. Yeah, I played 8th grade.
like that. Man of the crowd stands out.
It was all just like handheld, but I was trying to do, I think, like
Man of
a
the
certain type of.
I think that's part of the appeal too, is that you can tell it's a camcorder from a long time ago.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this is like the pinnacle of 90s. Everything about this is like
Yeah.
all 90s.
that killer sofa in the basement.
That's where I was making out, dude.
Yeah,
Enormity.
that's where the name Enormity came from.
Even the length of the song is so 90s. Like, I fucking love it that it's
It's like
5
a tuna
minutes.
can down
It's
there.
like, you know why? Because there's a guitar solo.
That's right. It's coming up. There's gonna be like a, and also like the bass player is a phenomenal bass player. Like he can play basically like lead
Yeah.
bass. And there's almost
Yeah.
like drum. There's a lot of flourishes. Like it feels like a real band song to me. Like at least in the edit of it, I was finding places to highlight that. Oh, I love this bit.
You
Look
did
at
a
this.
great job.
Oh, look at that. That's sexy. The flashes in there.
Emphasize the double kick.
Yeah, and I basically just overlaid something from one of their first middle school band dances that had a strobe light, and it worked out pretty good.
Do you know what's hilarious?
Look at this look at the end. Like, look how Nate looks all tough.
It's so awesome.
What? We're a band. What?
There you go.
You know what's hilarious? I got that title from an Edgar Allan Poe story.
I wanted to ask you about that.
You always figure that somebody would get it at some point, but no one's ever got it. And even as I really don't know the story, I just saw the title and took it in my own direction. But I thought someone would catch on someday. Was today the day?
Perhaps, yeah. I've always been intrigued by knowing it came from a Edgar Allan Poe story title, if nothing else.
So, anyways, that was fun. I got attention. There's over 1,000 views. And
holy shit! Yeah, that really blew me away. So I what did I do? Like, I didn't really do much except for like package it. So I created that music video, first 40 seconds in 1997, the rest of it early this year, and so you guys got into the Rock Off, like the second annual. You know what's great? Appropriate. It was the Mountain Dew High School Rock Off.
Yes, it was. It was.
And as you can see in the video, there were a fuck ton of people. It's basically like a packed premiere concert club for this event.
Because of all the bands involved, and it was exciting though to be even in the crowd, because just every young kids, and they're kind of free, but we're in this environment. But yeah. Like, oops, I just felt a butt. Yeah, boob just touched me. Ooh, yeah.
Well, and
I inspired the name Enormity. You want to find out why?
I'll take off my shirt in a second with my dyed hair.
They crushed, though. Like, so they were the first band of this night that there's this videotape from, that you can see footage from there. And actually, I created basically like an 80-minute distillation of all of the video that exists. So it's not like a documentary in that you're going to hear them talk about it and, you know, like describe their experience now about then. But if you go to, we'll share it on the Twitter, but if you go to vimeo.com/channels/enormity, there's the Enormity Anthology 1996 through 1998, where you follow this young band from their beginnings as a middle school dance act into the recording studio, filming their music video, and ultimately onto the stage of one of the premier clubs in Northeast Ohio, playing to a packed house.
Make it sound damn cool, man.
It is damn cool. It's an incredible achievement that you guys had. So it's kind of broken down into this Man of the Crowd video is basically like a trailer for the whole thing, I guess. There's 6 minutes from the Fall Dance 1996 middle school performance. There's 11 minutes from The Machine in May of 97, another concert club I think that is gone. There's about 25 minutes from their studio session, which I found, that's the longest segment. I found it so interesting to watch the engineer. So basically, you can see Yojimbo, our dad, is in there. The bass player's dad.
Turtleneck.
Yeah, with his turtleneck and ball cap.
Man, that guy's got style.
He doesn't give a fuck. But it's amazing to hear the engineer, who you guys won studio time. I don't think he knew what to expect. And he was clearly blown away by what you guys were doing. And at a certain point, bass player's dad goes, because he wasn't going to say like, I'm blown away. But you hear this unfold, and the bass player's dad goes like, well, what did you expect? I don't know what he said, but it was really interesting to hear one side of the glass, basically. Like, and then you hear some snippets of things that don't survive in, you know, recorded material in terms of some of your other original songs. And then sorry, I'm almost through this little litany of things. There's basically like 8 minutes of footage from that video shoot. Basically, when I'm including stuff here, I just leave things that I think you guys might want to see somewhere down the line. So it's not going to be like a static image of nothing happening. It's stuff that reveals things about the people involved and what's going on. And then the last 20 minutes is this January 31st, 1998 performance at the Odeon that is also the audio content of what you can download for free at the dreamingoutloudrecords.com. It is astounding to see. So this is the opening night or the opening performance of the rock off.
The finals.
You guys are the first. So they get introduced and they come on and crush with like 3 original songs, one of which we just heard. And then they close with this blistering version of Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train. Like that. People lose their fucking minds. Like this is the beginning of the night. The MC comes on and she's trying to wrangle the people. It takes her almost a full minute to get them to quiet down. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's
I think,
really
I don't know. Seems, that's like being part of the crowd too. It's just a bunch of kids and the kid energy. And like I said, you're kind of free. It's like a school dance or something, like where you're kind of free, but you're in this environment. So maybe your parents are in the back or something, or they dropped you off. We're going to pick you up in a couple hours. But yeah, it was impressive. And I remember the guys, like relishing that and just kind of like, oops, I forgot something on stage. Go off, wait one more time, stuff like that. Yeah. So that's a really fun moment. And it couldn't have been a better stage. And yeah, thankful that you got to save all of that. And that music video is just stunning.
Well, it was my pleasure, and anyone who's curious to, so we shared. Oh yeah, I shared this on my. I do have a Facebook page for my music. This gets really like sticky sometimes because Facebook, but I knew we didn't necessarily. I knew you might not, or the other guys might. I wanted to be a surprise for the other guys. I knew you guys might not want to share it yourself. So I'm like, fuck it. I'll just put it on this thing, even though it may or may not be appropriate. And I do that. I mean, I do that if there's something about Long Walk Short Drink that could be posted on David All Music, I will. I mean, generally, Facebook rewards certain things, and also people are interested in certain things. I'm pretty used to crickets at this point in the game. But I posted this video, and I tagged the guys in it who all have Facebook accounts. And within like 24 hours, it got 1,000 views, which for us is astounding. I mean, for our little organization.
It was wild.
People, I think, whether it was that nostalgia thing or what, like, people were into it, which was extra gratifying because I would have done it anyway. But just to see it make people that happy or wistful or about their that time, or I don't know what, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it reminds people of when they were that young, and just like you can see it's on old VHS. You can tell that we're so young, and we've never seen this footage, and you've shared some of it with me priorly, but I had never shared it with them. So it was all really fresh and exciting. But yeah, so that's the latest.
That's an old school Rittman rabbit hole that I'm going to get to go down during work. So that should be working. That's what I'm going to be doing.
I'm glad. Yeah.
Well, let's hear how. Well, yeah, I can listen to this over headphones. That's fine. Like, I don't need to watch the video part. 20 minutes later, man, that was a great video.
Yeah, we put it out as an audio thing, but you can see it all on that Vimeo page, but also on DreamingOutLoudRecords.com. I upgraded to some sort of thing to where I could have include videos. So you can see videos for each of the songs for this particular release. In order to allow for the video, I have to make it that name your own price for the download. But just enter $0. You can download it for $0. I actually created a 15-page PDF. I scanned Moto's original printouts for lyrics and did a bunch of fun stuff there. It's a real kind of it's all that exists really of that band at this time. So if you were around or if you're curious, check it out. I don't actually have 5 questions that I'll torture you with, but I do.
Yeah. We're done with me here.
I do need to say one more thing because my friend and yours by proxy, pal Phil. For the other guys and for listeners, Phil is he's 40 years older than me, almost exactly. And we met out here in Minnesota. He's a retired businessman who writes country songs and almost like 40 or 50 a year. He's incredibly prolific, and he's a big fan of creative people and of me and Moto. Moto recorded one of his songs once for which I think he'll be eternally grateful, and is in his
that's awesome.
perpetual rotation in his iPod. So he said
Cool.
Every once in a while he'll send me something. He's retired. He's been retired for many years, so he's got a lot of free time and he's a very driven man himself, and he's always got like so many songs he's working on, and I think is kind of, it's like it both frustrates me and warms my heart at the same time. And he's someone who can get on me about, like, he wants me to be doing this certain thing. Like, I think he wants me to write 40 songs a year and all this. He's pretty adamant. Sent me something this week that he's like, I got on your Facebook page and all this. He's like, Moto needs to be making Moto albums. Like, all right, man. I know I've been telling him this for years, but there's a thing about us almond boys, and that we'll do what we want when we want in this regard. But just a little extra encouragement and/or push. I know you've been writing a lot of music.
I've been doing sketch stuff, and
you've been sending me some cool shit. So if you have the urge, just pee as Phil, and you got some words in you.
There you go.
Put it out. But so before we let you go, I
guess that's probably the biggest problem. But
yeah, I know. It's like I know, like, I've been invited to sing words and stuff. I just don't quite have those yet. It's like Palmer said earlier, or anything, like you don't want us to do it if our heart's not in it. Nobody wants that, really.
Right.
Absolutely. What's the last one?
Oh, so last one, it's not really a question about Enormity, but I know you're working on something else, kind of a follow-up to Friends and Family, which I know Palmer's a fan of. So tell us what you're up to there before we let you off.
Such a good album. Jesus, so good.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Palmer. I got to share that with my uncle, and he was, I know he was really happy getting it done. I don't know what else to say about it, but we took that idea, and then we're incorporating the rest of the band, and just want to do an album of those guys. I mean, the pedal steel player, he's going to turn 70 this year, or 74, one of the two. I mean, they're getting old, and
wow.
A lot of them have been doing it for a long time. And I actually just got a CD of what would be maybe their best recordings from a while ago. It was like 2002. And oh man, just, and it's just, those times were so different, the magnetic tape. I mean, the hiss, the tape calibrations, left channel coming in and out because the tape's not clean. And just, they do a mix and you're stuck with that mix forever. Or now digital, you just recall it and make a finite change, So, I'm really getting to do something cool for them and providing some quality recordings so they can pass it on to their grandchildren and say, this is what your grandfather used to do, or this is him, or this is your grandmother. I got a female singer I'm working with in the band. There's one female singer and the rest male. But so it's
set up that Wednesday night thing a little bit in case, because I can imagine maybe some of even the people on the discussion tonight are not aware of what this Wednesday night tradition is. This is our Wednesday night tradition.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's similar to this. Well, it's similar to this, and just people getting together, and their camaraderie is just important as the music, and not maybe, but more important than the music, the camaraderie, and so they got this. Somehow this group came together. I can't speak for them. They'll have to have a documentary on them, but
believe me, I thought a lot about that. About general North Rittman. Oh yeah, like
you gotta sleep.
Start there. I know. I'd love to start there. So this is our dad, our uncle, and it's more than just that. But this is our in to this Wednesday night crew. Yojimbo, our dad.
His brother,
our uncle, who's the sort of face and voice behind this Friends and Family album you can download for free on dreamingoutloudrecords.com. I know I'm saying that a lot. It's not, I mean, it is a plug, but we don't get money from it. That one of the hallmarks of that thing, the first thing in our mission statement or whatever, is all music, no business, always free to download music. So
I think that's pretty cool.
Anyway, but I just, in case you're interested, it is free and you can listen to it. It's not on streaming services and stuff because that actually costs money, but not to the people listening necessarily, but the providers. So, our uncle, our dad, in high school in the 60s had a band called Bushmen who would play like Motown covers and various other Beatles songs and stuff. And that's part of the core of this Wednesday night group. They haven't been meeting on Wednesdays since the 60s, but I would say in the last 10 years, maybe less, have started to do so. I think it's really well, I don't know. Is it okay to say these people's names? It's like they got nothing to fucking hide.
we got Twinkie and Double D. We should just talk about them later.
Yeah, so I don't know. There is like a family, and actually I played briefly in a band with a member of this family that's my age, our age. It was the only band I was ever really in that I wasn't just the guy singing that everyone else followed, because I don't actually know how to be in a band otherwise. And when I was in that band, I let this dude set the level on my guitar, tell me what to wear, and exactly what to play.
Wow.
Yeah, I have this one VHS that actually
that's not how bands go.
No, I know, but that was how clueless I was. Anyway, I'll maybe tell this another time to Moto. But I got this tape of me in that band the one time we played Morning Glory.
Awesome.
From the other middle school gym. Jeremy Gerald gave me a tape when I worked at Akron Mills. So there you go.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that fucking nuts? Every part of that sentence is crazy.
that whole story.
Yeah. Anyway, so this Wednesday night thing kind of folded in the Bushmen, who are all of similar ages to them. So basically it's all these people who it's kind of like us, like it's a sort of cabinish thing, but for these people in their mid to late 60s, and they've been
they're all retired, and but they're there's everyone's had their health issues or mental health issues. Oz, he's well, kind of forced into retirement. I don't know that, but
bass player in the Bushmen.
He's been a police officer for a long time, and just the shit he's gone through and seen, and just family. His one brother. Just everyone has health issues and things that they're dealing with. And that Wednesday night, they get to come together, play music, tell jokes, laugh, and the camaraderie of everything. So I'm trying to capture their magic form and give them at least an album. But it's tough, like Twinkie said. You think it's just an album and they're just songs. Like, holy crap! Especially with this, I'm dealing with people, and and I'm learning how to do that better, and try to stay internally calm, which is tough for me. So
well, and it's hard too, especially I don't know if because they've been musicians for so long, maybe they know, but I used to always find with like computer stuff where somebody would be like, just do this with the computer, I just need this, and to them it's just like this one simple thing. They don't know that like there's a 45-minute long process that goes into getting that one little simple thing. So I can't imagine what that's like.
You gotta like it.
You gotta like it. Like, you have to enjoy it, and that's how it makes it good. So
it's fun. We're getting to do these things, and that's my next project. It'll probably take, I don't know, a good few months. So hopefully.
Oh man. I'm looking forward to listening to that one at work.
Thank you, and thanks for all the feedback in the last one. I got to share it with Jack, and
man, that was it. Yeah, his voice was really. Because I remember I had listened to it because the last episode of Long Walk Short Drink that I was trying to listen to and catch up on, you were talking about how you had just worked with him, and his voice really, it reminded you a lot of some of Johnny Cash's later albums where he was just like the American albums where he was like recording in his living room, Rubin. And man, it totally sounded like that. It totally had that vibe to it.
I felt like he didn't try to be somebody else. He just I was proud of him
Yep.
for finding his own voice, and that's the first time he's yeah. This
Yeah,
was
he's
really
not,
nice to
like,
come
he's
through
not
for
a
him.
singer. Like, that's not what people would think of. He was always
Oh,
the
he's mostly
drummer.
a drummer.
Yeah,
That became a
and,
guitarist, and then he started singing,
yeah.
and I was like, you know, wanted to help him and do an album. So we're doing stuff. This is Cabin 2.0. Long walk, short drink.
Yeah, or maybe even further. Like, but I don't know. But yeah, Moto's got a real skill in that way of letting people, like, bringing stuff out of people like that. That's something I do, like in my work as a video producer, working with people who aren't accustomed to being in front of cameras. Like, a huge part of it is somehow creating an environment to allow them to just shine through. Like, it's really tricky to help people reveal themselves. So anyway, I recognize the challenge of that, and appreciate the way that you can bring it out and others, and to have it so for me many times. So
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm still working on it, but it's fun.
yeah. Well, there you
So
go.
Double D.
No 5 questions, but
Moto's
sorry.
like,
Double D's
get the fuck off me.
Well, and before we gotta lose more people, we don't often have these guys with us.
Yeah,
no.
no. Sorry. Thanks, everybody. I really wanted to. I've been thinking about that stuff with both of those projects. No, sorry.
No,
I
it's
have my
nice to share.
agenda. Believe me, I
So
really
double,
did it.
Nice to
double
share.
D, your 2 questions. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
I did start to think about those
40
5 questions.
minutes later.
All right, so I got a lead in. Yeah, we're 40
Little-
minutes away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thinking about 40 minutes ago.
Yeah.
What do you wanted to say?
Oh man.
Spectacular.
Oh, Double D, how's your life been? Did you? What about the pool? I don't want to ask. I did.
I didn't want to ask, but I did.
Okay.
Oh my
well,
gosh.
next summer is going to be awesome.
Yeah, and it'll be here before we know it. 7 months from now.
Yeah.
We'll be enjoying that pool, and it will be so
Awesome.
worth it. We did spend some time in it, and it was kind of nice. We were able to. I mean, we were swimming in
Oh,
it in
it is
October.
done.
Oh yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
yeah.
I just-
Thank goodness it did
all
get
right.
finished towards the end of the year, like mid-July is when we
Excellent.
kind of got into it. So thank
It
goodness.
looks great.
It is awesome, and it turned out really well for what it was going to be. Gosh, for what it was going to be. So, but it was nice. We had the heater on, so we swam a little later than we probably normally will. But the kids don't
It's
care.
fun though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kids don't care.
Yeah, kids don't
Oh
care.
my
So we're like,
gosh.
hey, it's 74 degrees. They're like, let's go swimming. We're like, I'll
Yeah.
watch. From the side. So they
So
jump
many
in. And,
memories will be
yeah,
built and made.
exactly. But more so than the pool, I actually just finished. I can say I am more than halfway through the Dark Tower series.
Oh,
Wow.
So
Like kicking ass, huh?
shit.
yes,
Yeah.
I've
You finished
well,
book 4?
I finished book 4.
Oh,
So
man.
that's been a big milestone.
Because we
it's
were
kind of-
we were chatting earlier, and there is admittedly a very anticlimactic thing that happens in the book.
Oh yeah,
But how about that ending? Like,
I know. It's just,
like afterwards, huh?
I know.
like-
yeah.
Like,
Well, we'll talk
And-
more. I didn't.
and all
And
the
I also-
shit leading up to it, like all the shit in Mages, like,
Oh, I know.
I mean,
I know. You just can't.
right?
Right.
Like,
It's
if
They
this
have their
doesn't
own
make you guys
language.
want to read Dark Tower, I don't know what will. Like,
I want to listen to this podcast series with the two of you.
yeah,
How many of those
Yes.
have been recorded?
Not enough.
not enough.
So,
There's been
Word.
hours outside of recording, but like,
Don't tell Dave that.
yeah.
that sounds.
Yeah.
First off, that sounds familiar and infuriating.
Oh my god.
He's always trying to live life off mic. Can't handle
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So my problem is that, and I even hesitated bringing it up tonight because now I just know that it's going to be, Palmer's going to be sending me the next book, or I'm going to be getting the next book, and he's going to be like, all right, get into 5, get into it, and I'm going to like, let me listen to 4 one more time.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, Well, I originally was like, I'm not going to send you any more books until we record the first, like we start recording the show. And then it got so long. He's like, well, that's fine. I'll just keep listening. Then he's like, I listened to the first one like 85 times. Like,
Wow.
so
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, I got to get you the next one then.
Yeah. I've been through the series probably. Let me put it this way. I've gone through probably 24 Dark Tower books. It just so happens to be the first 3 and then this
one time through the fourth one.
One time through the fourth one. So, but yeah, I've had multiple listenings of the first 3 books. Oh my gosh, so good.
The first 3 really kind of feel like their own thing, and then this fourth one is like a bridge, and then the last 3 are kind of like their own thing. So
yeah, well, it's going to be hard to make this a bridge because this was such a different book. Like I knew I was going to be getting into some history, but had no idea. But I don't want to go down this path.
Okay, without any spoilers though, how about the reading though? Like the performance of the audio of like Frank Muller, like it is so good and just
So I like physical copies. I like to actually get into a book. I mean, I've got books sitting all over the place, and I like actually going in and having a physical book that I can turn pages, put a bookmark in.
You don't have to sell physical media this group, buddy.
Oh no, that's right.
Slower.
But this was something that we kind of got lost in one of our conversations was, it is so powerful to have this book read to you because there's so many characters that will play out. So, and as I was talking to Palmer, one thing that kind of pisses me off when I'm reading a book is in my mind's eye or in my mind's ears, I guess. I will be reading through and hear like Dave is reading this passage or whatever, and I'm getting through this, and then I will go to the next paragraph, and then it'll be Dave's voice again, even though it starts with dialogue. Well, then I'll get 2 sentences in, and I'll see that it says, Palmer gruffly added. Well, I'm like, now I got to go back through the first, go to the first line of that paragraph again and reread it as Palmer.
The right character. Yeah.
As the correct character. So what Frank Muller does is he takes all that out. Like as soon as he starts in Palmer's voice, and they are spot on. They're like in the entire book, and it's 23 CDs worth of audio.
Yep.
Like it's an investment for sure. But like other than maybe 3 or 4 times from the whole book was I like, that wasn't, I don't think he nailed the voice that time. 3 or 4 times from the whole book.
Yeah, over 24 hours of like speaking, basically.
Of basically like a dozen characters.
More that's the thing that blows my mind about that's the thing that blows my mind about the 4th book in that series. Is the whole rest of the series you are dealing with they're called a quartet. It's a group of people. It's 4 or 5 characters. That's it. Like they interact with other groups, but it's really just those 4 characters. So it's really easy to keep track of those voices.
Right.
This one is it's a Western in the truest sense of the word Western. And it's an ensemble cast of characters. There's probably 70 different characters in this book that get their own little screen time and backstory. It's a book, but like, and he gives every one of them their own voice. Like it's the closest thing to listening to a one-man radio drama you can get. That's
tremendous. Yeah. I mean, I can't promote it enough. It was just, so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Is the 4th your favorite, Palmer?
It's my favorite audio book
Ever.
It's not my favorite Dark Tower book though.
Oh,
that's 5, right?
Yeah, 5 is my favorite Dark Tower book. Like as far as like Dark Tower books go, 5 for me just like pushes all my buttons. But as far as audio books go, like if anybody's like, well, give me what would you consider to be a great example to prove to me that audiobooks are worth listening to? listen to the
Oh yeah.
Dark Tower Book 4 and listen to Frank Muller's interpretation of it, and his performance of Rhea the Coos is just like it is so terrifying, and Jonas Eldridge is terrifying, and he doesn't. And when you hear and it's just like so willowy, and and like Stephen King uses some of these words that, and I'm not. Sometimes you read them and you're just like, well, what does that really sound like? What would like, because he might be using that word and picturing this specific thing, but if you don't have any context or don't know that word, like maybe you're not going to get it. And Frank Muller's like, oh yeah, that is what that word would sound like if you heard it, you know?
Right.
Gosh, man. And he'll have, this is a rare thing too, where like there'll be just a ton of dialogue amongst half a dozen characters. So like you'll have literally a drama playing out, and he'll change those voices as he's going through each time so that each person in that conversation gets their own thing. And then some of those characters might be small, so they don't show up again for another 60 pages. He brings that voice back where you're like, oh, that was that person that was talking 60 pages ago.
Can I ask I don't really know how audiobooks are recorded. Do they sit down and read the audiobook? They don't. It's not like you're going through and doing all the dialogue for character X and then doing the dialogue for character Y. They're just sitting down and reading the book.
They're sitting down and reading it. Like they have a printout of the book and they're going through. And I'm sure that there's some preparation involved with it, where like, especially
it's not the first read. All right, Larry, sit down and
like, and with Stephen King, I'm sure there's like, they're not going to just hand a Stephen King book to like the entry level audiobook reader, right? There's a reason why like George Guidall and Frank Muller read the majority of his books early on, and now like actors, like famous people read Stephen King books. They're like, you know, so but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just them sitting there at a podium with a printed out a manuscript. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Right.
Thank you. Where they're able to mark on it and like make their notes and everything. And
I just finished Pet Sematary, read by, is it Michael C. Hall? Or Michael C. Hall. And the credits, they mentioned like there's all these different things. You know, there's engineers, you know, plural, and all this. There's editors and everything. And it says directed by. So like there is someone too.
Yeah, in a booth.
Just maybe maintain some consistency in their performances, or asking for this, that, or the other.
And I've
certainly never observed it, but
I'm sure there's you know, that the director. There's actually one of Stephen King's books has a character who becomes an audiobook reader. So you get a little like insight into this field, because Stephen King is a huge fan of audiobooks. He loves audiobooks.
Oh, okay.
And so this character becomes, but the way he portrayed it, like that director, that person, like cuts in at some point and was like, "Can you reread that last paragraph?" And like, and because they're in a studio environment, it's really easy. Everything sounds consistent, so they can like they can just take out the bad paragraph and put in the rereading real easy, you know, and build it that way.
I've even heard repeat sentences and stuff in certain audiobooks, like you know, errors where someone says, and you can tell it's like, oh, they meant to.
Yeah,
they could have cut that out. Like you could hear someone like go back and start the sentence over. It's rare, but it happens.
And it's really, I always listen for weird things like breathing. I don't know. I know that
that's
sounds
not
weird.
Actually, I think about that a lot, because I had this one internship when I was in college at a production house, and I was working most closely with the audio guy, and he gave me this task one time to go through. It was more I can't find the word. Non-procedural. Industrial stuff. So like oh my God, like they knew I was a musician and stuff. I'm going to go to rock and roll hell for this someday. But I sung a version of Revolution, like say you want a revolution. Yeah. That song with words replaced for like a pharmaceutical company or something. It wasn't pharmaceutical. It was like Steris. So I can't remember what I sang, but I was in a booth and I was like, all right, doing the whole thing. I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst.
This is
I can't
terrible.
believe this is happening to me. I can't believe I agreed to this.
Oh, you see, you gotta pee all
Pretty
night.
much. Exactly.
Nice.
Like I was altering it, but I was doing my best John Lennon, which is not bad. But anyway, so I got this task of going through and basically digitally removing all the breaths in a voiceover. And I thought I did okay, I guess. Like it's really, I think a lot of you have probably worked with digital audio and you can see it. And then you just like, okay, that's the breath, and you highlight it and you delete it or whatever. Moto's probably much more familiar with like gates and stuff where you don't, where that's automated by settings that you dial in with your smarts. But I was doing this based on sight and stuff. And the guy came in and he was so disappointed at the probably half a dozen times where I missed or I didn't delete the breath. And so I think ever since then, every once in a while, I'm listening to audiobooks. I'm like, there's no breathing. And I was like, either that's a magnificent gate or some intern is getting his ass chewed.
Well, no, but I think it's a combination of like multiple things. Because like as a performer, there are ways that you try to take a breath. Like I know I try to take deep breaths. Like if I need one like off mic, so I'm not like right on my microphone. And then you have gate. Like I didn't even know gates existed until Long Walk Short Drink. Like I didn't even know that was a thing. That like because I'm really self-conscious of my breathing. And yeah.
That's a devastating sentence to hear, actually, because breathing is pretty important.
Yeah.
That's all right, man. Breathe.
Really, the best thing to do with this edit, if it's dead air, edit the breath out, but also use gates. So both of them to get the best product. But that's what I would do.
Well,
I remember. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, this is the breathing story. It's a funny story. I got called in for jury duty at Worcester, and their court was up on the second level. There's like, I don't know, 200-300 steps. There's a lot of steps.
Yeah.
And I was running behind because of parking. And so I ran up the steps, and then I got in the courtroom, and I was all out of breath, like, and it's just reverberating like crazy. I'm like, then I tried to hold my breath, like, no, I'm cool.
You can't hold your breath because then you almost pass out.
Yeah, but the room was so reverberant, and I'd run up the steps. So yeah, I just about to pass out.
That's a fantastic story.
Oh, I've been there so many times
for just being like, oh my God, sir.
I sat down and
that's great.
Gathered my shit, but.
Gathered my shit.
Oh,
I got keys to my shit.
I listen for breathing. I listen for like page turning. I was listening to, I forget what audiobook I was listening to, and I could hear every now and then you could hear them turning the page of the manuscript, and I was like, whoa, that's like, you never hear that. You never hear that page.
That's kind of cool to me. I wouldn't want to hear it like all the time. Obviously, you don't want to hear people breathing and mouthing mics and stuff, but just like every once in a while, it adds a sense of, I don't know, authenticity or something.
That's
exactly what it is, and it just
personal touch or intimacy.
Yeah.
Let's keep this going.
I mean, they're reading the book out loud, and you're not trying to deny that, right? And so it really helps enhance that idea of, oh, I'm being read to.
There's a couple of times even in the reading of this book where the dead air it's almost like a void, like it is so quiet, and it usually happens like at the end of a chapter or at the end of one of his 72 chapters. The way he numbers chapters, I still can't follow, but
I've read everything of his or listened to everything of his, and I still can't follow. So.
Yeah, like book 3, chapter 7, 1. Wait, what? But anyway, so there'll be dead air that ends that, leading into the next one, and I'm like, I check my phone, I'm like, is it still playing?
Yeah.
Like, it is so quiet. There's just like, I mean, like it's almost like
silence is deafening.
Yeah, silence is deafening. So
It's,
a little page turn wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing at that point.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. My father had issues with being able to see. He had just some conditions with his eyes, and so he used to listen to a lot of audiobooks, and most of them that didn't interest me as a kid. Of course, they were very just adult books of whatever kind. But I just remember he would be able to just sit and listen forever. Like it really was a real opportunity for him to enjoy something he wouldn't normally be able to enjoy. To have, we got just a million of them from the library. I have no idea how many he ever had, but
yeah, eyesight's one of those things, man. Well, I mean, it sounds like there might have been something more there, but even just as you get older, it's a common thing to lose. Like I know my dad, that's his most frustrating thing is losing his sight up close. It just really frustrates him.
Yeah.
But
So
luckily,
here's just a little. Oh, go
we're
ahead.
doing pretty well. No, that's it.
A little aside. So I was sitting in.
Not on this show, buddy. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Sitting in church and looking at the little bulletin, and my daughter was next to me, and I was reading through the bulletin because what else are you gonna do during church? But I was going down through, and I got to like, I don't know, the 7th little announcement thing or whatever, and it said large print bulletins available. Ask the front desk. And right, so at first thought you're thinking, oh, that's pretty nice, right?
Except the people that can't see.
So I nudged my daughter, and that was probably the worst thing because I started giggling, and then she's looking at me like, she's like, Dad, come on, keep it together. And so then I point out the little thing, and she's like, and she was of the same thought you had of, oh, well, that's really nice. And I just kind of like deadpan look at her, and I'm like, how would the people that need it know they have it? And so she starts to snicker. It was not a good thing. I was like, oh my God. So anyway, large print story. Sorry.
My mom ordered a large print Reader's Digest once. Like she subscribed to the large print Reader's. Have you ever seen a large print Reader's Digest?
No.
So Reader's Digest are the magazine. It's the magazine that like fits in the palm of your hand, right? Little teeny
pocket.
This thing showed up like it looked like a phone book, like
whoa,
like this big and giant. Because they know their audience is for old people, and so like, oh yeah, there's my large print story. But no, audiobooks.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I totally say because my whole thing with them was just it was the only way that I could multitask in the car to get reading back. I just didn't have time to read anymore.
Yeah.
And I was spending a ton of time in the car, and it's like listening to the same 5 albums over and over again that I like because it was, it's hard for me to branch out. Or I could just listen to the next book, the next book, the next book, the next book. So it just made sense.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, the commute. It's hard to drive while reading a physical book.
Yeah,
it's not recommended.
I mean,
it's slightly illegal, illegal.
And I don't know how it works. I'm sure every public library is different, but the Denver library, you get free audiobooks, and they have like a program that you download or an app or whatever for your device, and everything is so accessible. There's just no excuse if you have something you're interested in. To be able to pursue it for free.
Steiner's going to hate me for promoting this because it's one of his competitors, I think. But Overdrive, I have on my phone. It's this app called Overdrive.
Yeah, that's what our library uses.
Yeah. And it links automatically to your library card. And now I don't have to technically, as long as I don't want to hold the physical physical copy, like the CDs, I don't ever have to go to the library for audiobooks. I can just search them right through that app. It checks them out, like digitally checks them out from the library.
It just expires whenever.
And it goes on my phone, and it spends 2 weeks on my phone, and I have 2 weeks to listen to it. And it's all there on my phone. Like I never have to.
It's pretty slick.
Yeah, if I never have to connect to iTunes or do any of that stuff. If I don't want to physically have those files, you know. So
Well, they're not very cheap if you buy them, right? They're like
audio
not
really expensive. That's the down. So like, please either do like
audibletrial.com / LWSD.
LWSD.
So you can do that route, or your library. I needed to plug our sponsor first before I say go to the library to get them. But it's like, yeah, there'll be bestsellers that are like $20 when they first come out, and the audiobook when it comes out, it's like $45.
Holy smokes!
And it's to pay that whole entire team of people, royalties and all that stuff.
Basic royalties.
Yep. So
I was gonna say, and actors get paid an awful lot, and just to play pretend. But at the same time, when you listen to that guy Frank Muller do 12 voices, it's like it takes a crazy talented person to do that.
Yep.
And when the other people are making that much money, when you got budgets that are that big, it's like, well, I'm worth this then.
Yep.
And
23 CDs worth of audio files. I mean,
that's a shit ton of work.
The amount of time that, and I didn't even calculate to see how much, like the total time it took to listen to it. But as Palmer was saying, I'm sure he's sitting down with manuscript. I'm sure he's reading through it. He's making notes. He's highlighting. He's, just it's a ton of work.
And unfortunately,
pretty
much, as far as I know, he was living paycheck to paycheck. That's the sad part. Is like, after he recorded book 4, in between book 4 and book 5 coming out, he got in a really terrible accident, like a motorcycle accident, and was not able to work anymore. And there's an afterword, I think in the 5th book, where Stephen King talks about how he's like, people in his line of work just don't make a lot of money. And it's like, I know that guy probably works just as hard as like any other actor. When you hear this book, and to be fair, if you get outside of Stephen King, who's like the best of the best, right? Who can command the best. Like, I only want the best readers for my books. Like, if you start going down into the weeds a little bit, you're going to run into some audiobook narrators where you're just like, this is fucking painful,
Yeah.
So,
Ugh.
I mean, there's B and C strings for everything, right? And, yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Like, that's why it's hard when you find a narrator you really like. Then you start looking for things that they read as opposed to who wrote it. So,
yeah.
I had an audiobook, Astrophysics for People in a Hurry by Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he's the author of the book, but he also read it. And I was like, he should have had somebody else read it. I love Neil deGrasse Tyson. That guy's awesome. He's got a very unique voice, but he should not do audiobooks.
Should have got Morgan Freeman to do it.
Neil deGrasse Tyson not read audiobooks? Yeah.
Speaking of Morgan Freeman, have you guys seen the hopefully you have the nature videos as read by not Morgan Freeman in a Morgan Freeman voice?
No.
Oh my gosh. They are absolutely spectacular. What the hell? What are they called? I'll find out. I'll figure out what they're called. Maybe they're like True Facts or something like that. Yeah, try that. It's True Facts. It is a rabbit hole. You do not want to go down.
Uh-oh.
You will get lost, and it is worth every second. They're just like little 3-minute snippets. I should probably find one and then send it in. We could maybe wrap it up on that or something. But oh my gosh, they're so
We'll
funny.
tweet one of those out.
Oh, is it good? But
Yeah.
yeah, you'll have to check that out.
Oh, Dave is even relocating. Jeez.
Oh,
He was forced to relocate.
Probably trying to get better Wi-Fi, hopefully. I don't know why.
Or to be quiet.
Oh,
He's getting
no, 'cause he's done.
he's getting the
Get
wrap.
the boot.
Yep.
Yeah, do you have work in the morning?
Yeah, I got to work in the morning.
Yeah,
We're trying to get in early. We got cookie weekend this weekend. We're making 8,000.
that should be fun.
Yeah, I'll be up in Worcester this weekend, so
Excellent.
that's gonna be a good time. But yeah, we should probably. I don't know what Dave looks like. He's in an episode of Fear right now.
yeah. Big Blair Witch Project.
Remember that show on MTV?
Oh boy.
Like he's got that hip camera that's like looking at him like.
He's in Blair Witch. Like, talk about Blair Witch.
Just, hey, Dave, give us a little shake. Just a little shake to make it look like. There it is.
That's right.
There he did. There he did.
Some spontaneous filmmaking at its finest.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Jenna, it
All
was
right.
a pleasure seeing everybody. I'm glad everyone's doing well. And
Yeah, and getting to catch up. Thanks for so much for making it in for the full cast episode, all of you.
Definitely. That was a pleasure.
Special.
Twinkie, it's so good to see you. Moto, pleasure. Oh my gosh. Dave Palmer, outstanding.
glad you're doing well, and hopefully get to see you on the Boop Tube, and that'd be great.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
be there.
I will keep you informed for sure.
Yes,
Cool.
please let us know about that. I'll get that GIF out. Otherwise,
On 'em.
yeah, I'm gonna make that happen. All right, so thanks a lot for making it in for the full cast recording of episode 60 in a row.
Absolutely fantastic.
That's so awesome.
In a row.
And this was our holiday extravaganza, 2018 holiday extravaganza. We will be moving. We're going to be on hiatus, so we probably will not. I don't think we'll come back to recording the 2nd of January, maybe the 9th.
Sure.
Yeah, so maybe the 9th. On the
We're the
YouTube.
grown-ups.
Yeah, we can do whatever the fuck we want. But in the meantime, you'll have all that time to catch up on all the past episodes. You can find those by going to our YouTube channel. Just search Long Walk Short Drink on YouTube. While you're there, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell. We're still working ever so slowly towards our 100 subscribers for our unique YouTube URL. That'd be awesome. Head over to Twitter. Search. We're at LWSD Pod. Follow us on there. You'll get all of the fun little stuff that we tweet out, links to our ancillary websites, the Dreaming Out Loud Records and Dave's website and Twinkie's Twitch stream, plus links back to our YouTube page. Head to our sponsor, audibletrial.com/LWSD. Start your free Audible trial and download your free audiobook. Highly recommend the reading of Pet Sematary by Michael C. Hall. I'm just buried church. That's where I'm at in it, and it's so good. It's such a good reading.
Yeah, I just finished it. It's delightful. And of course, Double D just finished the 4th Dark Tower book.
Oh, yeah, Wizard and Glass.
Yes.
Yeah, please, that's a geez.
Oh.
If you just want to know what's the potential of audiobooks, like how great can audiobooks be, then get that one and just listen to it because it's so awesome. And then start the whole Dark Tower series. Good stuff. Anything else? I don't think there's anything else. Oh, head over to twitchtv.com/slash Rocky Mountain AM. And on Tuesdays, 10 p.m. No, yeah, 10 p.m. Mountain Time, right?
That's right. 10 p.m. Mountain, 12 a.m. For you East Coasters.
Yeah, Eastern Time. Every Tuesday to watch Twinkie play awesome video games and save the world. Because
why not?
Why not? Right? Yeah. So I think that's everything. Anybody got anything else?
Everyone have a safe holiday. Happy and safe holiday.
And happy holiday, yeah.
We'll look forward to reuniting after the holidays.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it'll be a good time. Good time.
So good to see all of you. Let's keep this every 10 episode full cast thing going.
Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't ask why, just buy.
That's right.
250 bucks.
Yep.
250 bucks.
All the way down
Magic
to
number.
459. Don't ask why, just buy. Oh man, that's awesome. So, all right, guys, love you. Thanks for everything. Another great year. Down.
Yep.
Absolutely. Look forward to the next one.
Yep. We'll see you guys on the flip side.
Yes. Love you all.
Cheers.
Cheers, long walkers.
Long walk, short drink. Long walk, short drink. You've taken that long walk, no short drink. This was a long walk, fucking short drink. We'll get there eventually. I'm swimming to you just to feel the coldness of your lies. When you're leaving a trail of games and tricks just to waste all of my time. Well, there's nothing left to do but end this selfishness and greed. Well, I am dumb and you are sick, I don't know what to plead. Someone smacked me for I think I have a lion. Oh, all my thoughts and dreams are full of all your lies. Smothering wishes can't bring me to my knees. Well, I wanna start anew just to show you who I need. Stand out like that man of the crowd. Stand out like that man of the crowd. Your fire is never as hot as the passion of my hate. Well, I know you were never in love, and you're always too late. I'm blowing kisses to the ones I love a lot. You're spinning on my grave while I'm down this road. Someone smacked me for I think I have a life. All my thoughts and dreams are full of all your lies. Watching, waiting for that sign to set me free. Well, I wanna start anew just to show you who I need stands out. Like that man of the crowd stands out. Like that man of the crowd.